Bro's first apocalypse run was a complete freaking disaster. His girl betrayed him, his squad got slaughtered, his safe zone got hijacked, and Bro literally got fed to zombies. But then the universe said time to clock back in. He wakes up 1 month before the world ends. Same reality, same snakes, same toxic bastards. Except this time, Bro awakens the most goated system imaginable. This thing is basically handing out loot boxes like Christmas just came early. Buff potions, survival gear, completely broken abilities. Total free loot for a guy who already knows exactly how sick and twisted things will get. While everyone else is touching grass, our boy is already stacking heavy supplies, building a whole fortress and leveling up. Last time, he was literally zombie chow, but now he is strapped with a massive arsenal of hyped loot boxes. Flashing back to the start, inside a busted warehouse, Xiao Yong is quite literally hanging by a thread. Right below him, a pack of zombies waits for lunch, and tragically, he is the daily special today. Making things infinitely worse, Xiao Yong's Trash X happily reveals how she already permanently deleted every single one of his homies. Hearing that absolutely vile flex, Xiao Yong can only look back at his own massive fumbles. He realizes his naive choices got his most loyal crew wiped out. Right then, he swears this girl is going to face a painful game over. Too bad edgy vows do not mean squat when you are dangling over a zombie pit. The gold digger just clings to her sugar daddy, whining about her hurt feelings. Look at this, she still manages to play the absolute victim. Watching this cringe fest, the heavy-set bastard decides the show has finally dragged on enough. Before Xiao Yong meets his brutal end, the dude actually thanks him for leaving enough loot to keep their toxic squad fed for months. Seconds later, Xiao Yong loses his grip and plunges straight into the cage. Those freaks waste absolutely zero time. They instantly swarm him, tearing right into his flesh while he struggles completely helplessly beneath them. Even as his screams echo through the warehouse, Xiao Yong roars out one final desperate vow. If Tra-kun ever blesses him with a respawn, Qi Jin and Su Shuang will pay heavily for this sick betrayal. Apparently, the regression gods are listening. In the very next scene, our boy opens his eyes straight back in the past. First thing waiting for him is Qi Jin. This gold digger immediately starts barking about why her name is not stamped on his property. Xiao Yong completely ignores her yapping and focuses hard on the world around him instead. He quickly realizes he just regressed to a time right before the apocalypse turns the world upside down. All those brutal past life memories come rushing straight back. How his entire family inheritance got trashed and how his massive wealth vanished all because of her. Honestly, calling this girl a walking apocalypse does not even feel slightly unfair. Back in his first playthrough, a random virus suddenly spread everywhere, turning regular NPCs into aggro zombies, hunting down anyone still breathing. Thanks to his goated friends and top-tier connections, Xiao Yong managed to build a totally secure safe zone for survivors. Everything was running super smoothly until that backstabbing parasite randomly showed up begging for shelter. She pretended to be totally helpless, lost, and completely harmless. Simping just a bit, Xiao Yong welcomed her inside without even thinking twice. That one single act of kindness became his ultimate downfall. After faking his trust, she sneakily snuck her own toxic squad into the base and everything completely fell apart right after. Staring at her now, while she shamelessly demands more cash, is all the reminder Xiao Yong needs. Trust me, he wants to literally strangle her right now, but rushing this revenge will just ruin everything. So instead, he shoves her outside and slams the door right in her dumb face. Qi Jin is left standing there completely, utterly confused. The exact same dude she treated like her personal ATM has finally stopped approving her random withdrawals. Back inside, Xiao Yong checks his calendar and confirms he has exactly 1 month until the apocalypse hits. Right then, a sick holographic interface pops up before him. The apocalypse system is officially online. His very first quest is simple. Claim a piece of land and hoard enough heavy supplies to survive a whole year. Clearing this mission drops a sweet reward of 10 points to spend straight in the system store. Not a bad deal at all for simply prepping before the noobs. Xiao Yong immediately opens the store, finding only 3 available items. A major enhancement potion, a survival kit, and a highly hyped protagonist supply box, each costing different points. Even with just 3 choices, he is already miles ahead of his totally busted previous life. Looking around his empty apartment, Xiao Yong remembers just how utterly miserable his old life actually was. He skipped meals, pinched every single penny, and basically starved just to fund Qi Jin's ridiculous dowry. Imagine going totally broke for a snake planning to backstab you anyway. Never again. Xiao Yong grabs his phone and orders a goated meal because once the apocalypse actually hits, food like this becomes a total luxury. Later that night, he happily admires the insanely expensive takeout sitting right in front of him before digging in. This food tastes so sick, it almost feels illegal. One bite basically feels like unlocking a brand new cultivation realm. Sadly, it is just really good pork. Either way, our boy is definitely not complaining. He scarfs it down like he has waited his entire life for this meal. But right while enjoying every bite, his phone suddenly starts blowing up. Xiao Yong picks up the screen and sees it as Kuei Jin's best friend Xu Ya. Staying true to the toxic bestie stereotype, she immediately starts running her mouth, demanding to know why he kicked his girlfriend out. She keeps yapping until Xiao Yong gets totally fed up and hangs up on her. He has way bigger things to worry about. Right now, his absolute priority is completing the Apocalypse System quest by securing a solid piece of land. He needs a spot he can turn into a fortress, easy to defend with direct access to fresh water and a nearby forest. The very next day, Xiao Yong heads straight over to a real estate company to make it happen. A consultant named Xiao Ning politely greets him, asking whether he wants to buy or rent a property. But before he can even answer, her superior totally interrupts their conversation. Manager Jay marches over, shoves Xiao Ning aside, and barks at her to stop wasting time and handle bottom-tier work instead. This guy does not even let her finish helping a customer. Then he looks Xiao Yong up and down immediately, deciding the guy in front of him is totally broke. Xiao Yong is not about to let that slide and straight up calls him out for the disrespect. Instead of backing off, this corporate douchebag doubles down, telling Xiao Yong to go touch grass because he probably cannot even afford a toilet. Big mistake, buddy. Xiao Yong calmly pulls out his American Express card and straight up declares he is not here to buy a house. He is here to buy land. That single sentence absolutely stuns everyone in the room. Suddenly, the customer manager, Jay, just completely wrote off, looks a whole lot more valuable. Xiao Ning quickly invites Xiao Yong to continue the discussion properly, but manager Jay still stubbornly refuses to believe him. In his head, Xiao Yong is just another loudmouth flexing fake cash. Once they sit down, Xiao Ning presents several available properties, but Xiao Yong has zero interest in browsing random listings. He gives her his exact requirements instead. The land has to sit near mountains, featuring a highly reliable source of fresh running water, include convenient transit, and preferably have a factory or large house already built. Hearing these heavy conditions, Xiao Ning carefully thinks through the available options. Before she can answer, manager Jay suddenly jumps in with his own recommendation, clearly hoping to embarrass Xiao Yong. He brings up a plot in the East District, stuck with unfinished factories and a dead project nobody wants to touch, which is exactly why Xiao Ning did not even recommend it in the first place. Manager Jay basically assumes Xiao Yong is listing impossible specs because he never actually planned on buying anything. Xiao Yong completely ignores the sarcasm and asks a simple question. Does this East District plot actually meet every single requirement he listed? Xiao Ning admits that it does, but gently reminds him about the unfinished factories and the original developer walking away. For checking the information himself, Xiao Yong gets totally hyped because this property is actually perfect. It is easy to defend, already fully surrounded by heavy barbed wire fencing, super tough for enemies to approach, and those unfinished factories will only make it more useful later. Without wasting a single second, he agrees to buy it and sign the contract. Xiao Ning politely accepts, though she really cannot hide her shock that someone is willingly buying a property everyone else totally avoids. Our boy literally could not care less. He just wants the paperwork finished so he can shove it right in Manager Jay's smug face. Watch this. The next scene is pure comedy. Manager Jay stares at the payment in absolute disbelief, wondering who in their right mind drops such a massive deposit on a plot of abandoned factories. Xiao Yong walks over with absolute perfect timing, casually reminding him about their little bet. Since the purchase is legit, Manager Jay now has to keep his end of the deal and totally eat his own words. As Xiao Yong walks away, even the surrounding customers start laughing at the disgraced manager. They pull out their phones to record his massive L, waiting to see exactly how he tries getting himself out of this mess. With the land fully secured, Xiao Yong completes the first Apocalypse System mission, using the exact money he originally saved for Kuei Jin's dowry. Now, only one objective remains: stockpiling enough raw resources to survive an entire year before the apocalypse hits. As Xiao Yong walks away from the real estate building, Xu Shang actually spots him, genuinely wondering what on earth he is doing there. Next second, he scopes out the absolute circus happening right next door. Manager Jia is literally on his knees. A whole crowd surrounds him, force-feeding the guy on a live stream. Talk about an epic fail of a day. Over to Kaijin, she just gets a random call from Xu Shang. He spills the tea right away. Xiao Yong just bought a huge piece of land, and honestly, that completely triggers her. She doesn't care why he bought it. She just demands to know how he pulled it off and whose money he used. Xu Shang explains Xiao Yong dropped a massive deposit. He bets the guy blew the cash meant for her literal bride price. Hearing that our gold digger absolutely loses it, she acts like Xiao Yong just swiped her own personal bank account. Xu Shang just tells her to touch grass and go ask Xiao Yong herself for the real answers. She keeps yapping, but honestly, let's just leave her toxic rant right there. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong is already stressing over his next massive headache. Securing the property is only step one. Now he needs crazy cash to hoard a whole year of supplies and turn this place into a goated fortress. His plotting gets completely derailed by someone banging on his door like an absolute maniac. For a second, it sounds super serious. Turns out it is just Dumb and Dumber out there. Both of them are fuming about Xiao Yong supposedly wasting Kaijin's money. Xiao Yong opens the door, totally confused. Kaijin instantly screams at him for stealing her cash for the land, and she keeps digging that hole. The audacity of this girl claiming the property belongs to her. The accusation's so insane that Xiao Yong doesn't even bother arguing back. He just slaps a fat stack of cash against her shoulder. Then he reminds her he never touched a single cent of her money. Then he drops an absolute nuke, fully exposing her nasty little secret affair with Xu Shang. Kaijin is totally shook. Xu Ye jumps in playing dumb and calling it a simple couple's misunderstanding, but Xiao Yong isn't buying that trash. He drags Kaijin for cheating and stringing him along completely. He mentions her gross sugar daddy, slams the door right in their dumb faces, and tells them to kick rocks. Zero guilt from this girl. Kaijin is only sweating over how Xiao Yong actually found out about her little side hustle. That pretty much tells you everything you need to know about her priorities. Even Shuya looks totally floored. She definitely didn't expect that secret to leak. Honestly, she is kind of disgusted that Kaijin chose an ancient creep like Zheng Shushang. Knowing they have zero leverage left against Xiao Yong, the terrible duo takes off to go scheme up a fresh backup plan. And here is where Shuya shows her real colors. This total snake has been camping for an opening the entire time. Watching Xiao Yong and Kaijin crash and burn just makes her think she can finally steal him for herself. So much for being a loyal best friend. She's already plotting. Back over at the busted factory, Xiao Yong meets up with the construction boss to talk renovations. The guy explains this project needs hardcore upgrades and full defensive systems, basically building all that is going to take a ton of time. Scanning these wild blueprints, the boss actually asks if Xiao Yong is prepping to fight God or what. Xiao Yong ignores the joke and just coldly orders them to finish everything in one single month. The boss immediately shuts that deadline down. Even with his entire crew, speedrunning this build is literally impossible. But of course, money talks. If Xiao Yong really wants this build fast-tracked, it is going to cost him at least 20 million. Xiao Yong doesn't even blink. He just casually asks if that exact amount guarantees the job gets done. The guy adds they also need 5 million up front before they even lift a hammer. Xiao Yong accepts the insane terms instantly. He promises the cash transfer within a week provided they start the grind right now. The crew leader is completely speechless. He definitely didn't expect some kid to flex that kind of money so easily. Then Xiao Yong drops one final rule. If anything goes sideways on his end, the crew can just keep the land to cover their massive losses. That crazy guarantee seals the deal. But right on cue, Shuya randomly shows up acting super chummy like nothing happened. She straight up grabs his arm, casually asking what he is even doing out here. Seeing her face instantly reminds Xiao Yong how she helped Kaijin steal his family's stuff in his past life. He absolutely plans to settle that beef, but not today. Instead, he just asks why she is here. Shuya totally ignores his question. She checks out the property and asks if this is his new flex and if he is building some fancy villa. Xiao Yong yanks his arm away and bluntly tells her to mind her own business. Honestly, that cold rejection just makes her even madder. She cannot believe he is icing her out like this, especially since she is already catching major feelings. Xiao Yang completely ignores her. He just keeps talking shop, telling the construction crew to widen the main gate area. Xue Ya just frowns. She already knows Kui Jin and Xiao Yang are basically on the rocks. Now she is totally convinced she can play her cards right, snag the guy and the land all for herself. Honestly, our boy has a seriously goated talent for pulling the most toxic women alive. Back at his crib, Xiao Yang starts brainstorming how to scrape some real cash together. He even put his apartment up as collateral, but it is not enough for the upfront cost. Right now, cash flow is tight. After thinking about it, he decides to just sell the exact same apartment to multiple buyers. The apocalypse hits in exactly 1 month. Lawsuits are about to be somebody else's problem entirely. Just as he is plotting this out, someone starts hammering on his door, screaming to open up. The loudmouth knocking turns out to be his neighbor, Grandpa Lee. This wealthy landlord actually already owns the first 2 floors of the building outright. He has been eyeing Xiao Yang's apartment for a long time. In his previous life, Xiao Yang stubbornly refused to sell, hoping to use the place for his future wedding. Seeing how that dream completely crashed and burned, he really does not care about it anymore. Grandpa Lee immediately starts yapping. He lectures Xiao Yang for supposedly wasting his nights partying. Xiao Yang flat out denies this garbage, but instead of arguing, he cuts straight to the chase. He tells Grandpa Lee he is actually down to sell the apartment. That instantly flips the old man's attitude. Xiao Yang drops one major condition though. Since his new place needs 6 months to finish, he wants a clean 5 million paid up front. That way he pays off the entire loan first. It is such a sick strategy, and if he repeats this exact scam on other buyers, he will have infinite cash flow. Grandpa Lee hesitates for a split second. Xiao Yang immediately gets ready to slam the door. At the very last second, the boomer caves. But he insists on signing a rock-solid contract so nobody backs out. Xiao Yang is totally chill with that. Once the world actually ends, Grandpa Lee will not be breathing to care about some dumb paperwork. Everything is finally falling right into place. Between Grandpa Lee's 5 million and the 3 million he had saved, Xiao Yang now has a cool 8 million to play with. Since he officially cleared the first mission, he finally gets to claim his Apocalypse System reward. With that sorted, Xiao Yang immediately hits the grocery stores for a massive supply run. These shopping carts are putting in some serious overtime. He just keeps loading cart after cart until 7 of them are completely packed to the brim. Random shoppers just stare at him. Everyone thinks this dude needs to touch grass. Some figure he bought into a fake doomsday rumor. Xiao Yang could not care less about these NPCs. He grabs absolutely everything he needs and knocks out the system's second task. Time to spend those hype reward points. Bumping his stats sounds tempting, but Xiao Yang decides the protagonist's supply box is way better value. Zero hesitation. He dumps every single point into it. The glowing mystery box pops open, revealing an insanely overpowered space ring. It literally stores items perfectly inside a frozen static dimension. For Xiao Yang, this is an absolute jackpot. His supplies will stay flawlessly preserved forever. And just when he thinks a one-year stash is enough, check this out. The system casually raises the bar with an even wilder objective. Stockpile 10 years of resources for some major bonus points. Meanwhile, his massive mountain of groceries finally catches the supermarket manager's total attention. He immediately calls security to handle what looks like a total lunatic causing drama. The security supervisor turns out to be Yang Tao. Back in the day, this guy was the absolute biggest bully on campus. That definitely included Xiao Yang, mainly because he never followed orders. Years later, nothing has changed at all. Yang Tao barks at him, put everything back on the shelves, stop making a scene. Xiao Yang just smirks. He casually points out that Yang Tao is still the exact same arrogant punk from high school. He calmly states he is buying every single item here. Yang Tao calls his bluff. He demands payment right now or else things get ugly. Cut to an hour later. 4 exhausted cashiers finally finish scanning his massive haul. The grand total hits nearly 57,000 yuan. Totally convinced this guy is bluffing, Yang Tao smugly tells him to swipe his card right now. Xiao Yang does exactly that with zero hesitation. A few seconds later, the payment clears perfectly. Yang Tao is left standing there looking totally cooked. Every ounce of his cocky energy just vanishes on the spot. Super embarrassed, he turns around to dip with his crew. But Xiao Yong is not letting him off the hook today. He stops Yang Tao in his tracks, pointing out all the massive disrespect he caught during this whole shopping trip. Now this is peak petty. If the store refuses to cough up a real apology, he is deadass returning every single item right now. Hearing that demand makes Yang Tao absolutely see red. He thinks Xiao Yong is just pushing his luck and begging to get humbled. Tough break for him though. Phones are out, cameras are rolling, and everyone already saw him acting like a total clown. The crowd steps in fast. They tell Yang Tao to apologize unless he wants to go viral for all the wrong reasons. Things could not have worked out better for our guy. Xiao Yong calmly reminds his old classmate that swallowing his pride for a quick sorry is not going to kill him. Honestly, if he apologizes right, Xiao Yong promises to buy 10 times more. Yang Tao obviously thinks this dude is straight up capping. So Xiao Yong pulls out his phone and casually flashes that ridiculous bank account balance. The absolute second Yang Tao sees over 7 million sitting there, his whole face completely drops. With nowhere left to hide, the former bully finally takes the L. He drops his head and mutters a quick apology. Xiao Yong accepts it with a condescending little head pat. He reminds him that acting like a salty jerk gets you nowhere in life. As Xiao Yong gets ready to bounce, Yang Tao literally cannot help himself. He asks why anyone would need such an unhinged amount of groceries. Xiao Yong just brushes him off with the cold, hard truth. It is none of his damn business because he has something huge lined up. But that actually gives Yang Tao an idea. He mentions that buying on this insane scale would be way easier through a legit wholesaler. Xiao Yong immediately asks if he knows any good plugs. Yang Tao nods and brings up their old boss, Mr. Song, who runs a wholesale business now. He even offers to text him personally. A mega whale like this is exactly the kind of buyer Mr. Song desperately wants. Xiao Yong is honestly pretty shocked. He cannot believe Yang Tao is still a wage slave for that exact same guy after all these years. It makes him wonder exactly how much dirty money the two of them have actually made together. They head over to meet Mr. Song. A flashy car pulls right up to the curb, and old Song steps out, acting like he literally owns the city. Hearing there was a VIP whale waiting, he rushed over without wasting a single second. Yang Tao quickly reminds him that Xiao Yong used to be their classmate, but old Song does not recognize him at all. He squints real hard and then it finally clicks. Xiao Yong is that exact same kid from school, the one who refused to kiss up and constantly fought back against their little bully squad. Instead of saying what is up, Old Song immediately starts flaming Xiao Yong's outfit. He straight up calls his drip completely fake. It does not help that Xiao Yong casually admits he does not even know the brand name. Old Song instantly decides this guy is broke and figures Yang Tao just wasted his precious time. Super annoyed, he literally kicks Yang Tao. He brags that he can easily spot a rich guy just by looking at their vibe. Xiao Yong just fires right back. He sarcastically points out that Old Song's whole aura is seriously lacking, especially for a total clown who thinks acting tough makes him god tier. The guy grabs Xiao Yong by his shirt collar, but Xiao Yong does not even flinch and calmly repeats his exact words. Yang Tao desperately tries to chill them both out, only to catch another swift kick for interrupting. Honestly, at this point, being Mr. Song's employee looks way more dangerous than an actual zombie apocalypse. Furious, Mr. Song warns Xiao Yong that unless he buys a massive amount of stock, he is catching hands right here. Xiao Yong just answers by quietly flashing that fat bank balance again. The whole vibe changes instantly. Mr. Song literally cannot believe the insane amount of cash sitting right in front of his eyes. Xiao Yong explains his master plan. An order worth 5 million total with a cool 1 million just for the upfront deposit. Hearing those massive numbers, Mr. Song does a total 180 and eagerly asks what kind of products he wants. Xiao Yong keeps it stupidly simple. Literally anything you can eat or drink, he wants it all. Seeing a jackpot order this big, Mr. Song immediately starts plotting. He figures he can easily dump all his nearly expired trash food onto this new buyer. He drags Xiao Yong into the massive warehouse. He even throws out a fake 10% discount if he agrees to clear out the entire stock. Xiao Yong totally ignores the sleazy sales pitch and inspects the goods himself. He grabs a bag of peanuts and immediately notices the catch. Most of this stuff is literally days away from expiring, exposing Mr. Song's dirty little scam right on the spot. Mr. Song clearly did not expect this random kid to actually know anything about wholesale expiration dates. With his little scheme totally busted, he instantly sweetened the pot, bumping the discount to a massive 50% if Xiao Yong bought the whole batch. But nah, Xiao Yong turns him down flat without blinking. If he's dropping 5 million on prep, he wants the goated stuff, not some trash leftovers. That being said, he wasn't entirely ghosting the expired stash. He just had a completely different game plan for it. Since Mr. Song practically rolled out the red carpet for a deal, Xiao Yong hits him with a counter. He'll take every single expired item, but zero cash drops until a month later. Mr. Song wasn't sweating the delay too much, but he was high-key stressed Xiao Yong would ditch the goods once they fully rotted. To chill him out, Xiao Yong literally offers to mortgage his own house as collateral. At this point, Mr. Song is desperately wondering what kind of sketchy hustle needs bulk expired snacks. Xiao Yong just drops one tiny hint in a few days even garbage food is going to be top-tier luxury. That totally creeps Mr. Song out, but Xiao Yong completely refuses to spill the tea any further. He just locks in the deal, saying he'll drop the delivery pin later. Right then, Xiao Yong gets a random call from a dude hyped to buy his apartment. With the warehouse flex settled, he leaves all the boring logistics to them. Watching him dip out Yang Tao is honestly low-key, wondering if they just got massively played instead. Even Mr. Song can't wrap his head around this painfully average guy casually dropping millions without blinking. A bit later, the buyer literally wires a 400,000 yuan deposit for the apartment. He even agreed to let Xiao Yong crash there for 3 more months before officially bouncing. Honestly, Xiao Yong isn't sweating the aftermath one single bit. By then, the literal apocalypse makes contracts totally useless. The wild part is how fast this old man speedrun the deal without even doing a vibe check on the place. Super curious, Xiao Yong asks why the rush. The guy explains his granddaughter needs to switch schools, so they're desperately hunting for a crib nearby. They like the aesthetics and decided to instantly throw down an offer. Hearing that Xiao Yong jokes about jacking up the price now that he knows they are super desperate, the poor dude starts stressing hard, but Xiao Yong instantly promises he's not pulling a scam like that. They ink the contract, seal the deal, and the incredibly hyped old man thanks him before packing up. Watching him leave, Xiao Yong low-key thinks it's a huge bummer. Normies like this old man and his granddaughter have zero clue what's about to drop and most absolutely will not survive the endgame. Right before the guy dips, Xiao Yong pauses him to quickly grab their current address just in case. Soon after, Xiao Yong hits the construction site to vibe check the current progress. The head builder confirms the first bag dropped, but reminds him that round 2 of the cash is needed as soon as possible. Xiao Yong swears the money is practically there, then asks for the latest stats. The captain drops the good news they are sitting at roughly 80% completion already. The heavy-duty doors and defenses are locked in and the warehouse is completely scrubbed for storage. Totally hyped with the setup, Xiao Yong calls up Mr. Song to fast-track those supplies. Pretty soon, massive truckloads of gear roll up and get unloaded straight into the vault. Xiao Yong is feeling generous and drops an extra 2,000 yuan tip for each worker. While the crew flexes their surprise bonus, Xiao Yong handles the stash himself. He sorts every single category, making sure the fresh stuff is chilled properly. By nightfall, the base is fully stacked. Checking out his literal fortress, he's basically hoarded 10 years of gear farming 20 clean system points. He pulls up the system shop, spotting a sick new mystery box sitting right there. And honestly, you gotta love this, the real cheat code of this apocalypse system is obvious now. He farms cracked abilities way before the world even ends. Not wasting a second, our boy drops 10 points to unbox this new loot. This time, he pulls a goated skill called Mind's Eye, letting him straight up detect toxic vibes and hidden haters. In a brutal world where trusting the wrong NPC gets you wiped, that skill is an absolute game winner. The second he claims it, the system drops his next quest armed to the teeth. The objective is incredibly simple. Hoard every weapon humanly possible and prep for doomsday. Hilariously enough, that was already exactly what Xiao Yong had on his to-do list. That very night, he rolls out to the city's sketchy black market. He dodges massive crowds of shady street vendors aggressively screaming about cursed antiques. Honestly, every scammer within 50 miles is hanging out here, including the legendary Big Mac Attack himself. Shu Shan is literally right there, beefing with a vendor over some basic bracelet. Seeing this dude happily cop fake jewelry totally confirmed what Xiao Yong already knew. The guy was a total scammer. Meanwhile, Kaijin was out there proudly flexing cheap knockoff accessories, completely clueless. Ignoring that entire circus, Xiao Yong kept looking until one specific stall caught his eye. This vendor specialized in melee weapons. Xiao Yong asked if he had anything actually worth copping. The vendor first pushed a knife sharpener, then suggested a basic baton if he wanted something solid but not bladed. Xiao Yong just shook his head. He made it crystal clear he needed something way tougher. The shop owner figured this kid was just trolling until Xiao Yong casually dropped 200,000 yuan straight into his account. That instantly flipped the whole vibe. Realizing this customer was totally legit, the vendor invited Xiao Yong into a private back room. Inside, he flexed some homemade firearms priced around 2,000 yuan each, but honestly, he admitted they lacked the firepower to actually zero someone. Xiao Yong immediately shot that down. He was not gearing up to fight regular people. Dude was prepping for literal zombies. The seller then showed off a replica revolver worth 5,000 yuan, but Xiao Yong still was not hyped at all. After all, he already dropped 200,000 yuan without even blinking. That is when the seller realized something completely unhinged. That 200,000 was not the full bag. It was barely 10% of the budget. Xiao Yong casually explained that he planned to drop 2 million yuan on pure weaponry. Hearing that insane number, the seller could only wonder what kind of wild life this guy was living. No more wasting time. He instantly stopped pushing the mid-tier junk. Checking to make sure nobody was watching, he promised Xiao Yong he knew a guy, a supplier capable of delivering some seriously goated high-quality weapons. The actual meetup would go down in a couple days. As Xiao Yong walked back outside, he bumped into Shu Sheng again. This scammer basically assumed Xiao Yong got filthy rich overnight by flipping valuables on the black market. Xiao Yong literally could not care less about explaining himself. Instead, he figured this was the perfect moment to test drive his sick new Mind's Eye ability. He first scanned the weapon seller. Good news, there was zero hostility coming from the guy. Then he checked out Shu Shang, and wow, the results spoke for themselves. Smirking, Xiao Yong fired back, telling Shu Shang that just like those trash bracelets, Kaijin was another fake product he happily took home. Boom! Emotional damage. Shu Shang's face immediately twisted with pure rage. Watching this beef unfold, the weapon vendor asked if these two actually knew each other. Xiao Yong just shrugged and said it was better to treat Shu Shang as a straight-up enemy. Since Xiao Yong was officially his most goated customer, the vendor immediately backed his boy. He even offered to beat this old bastard down for starting drama. Xiao Yong walked away feeling satisfied, leaving Shu Shang standing there ready to absolutely explode. Things only got worse for him moments later. Some extremely sketchy dudes pulled up with batons, shoved him down, and completely wrecked him until he was covered in bruises. Instead of touching grass and learning his lesson, Shu Shang just hated Xiao Yong even more, swearing he would get sweet revenge someday. Fast forward 2 days, and Xiao Yong finally secured a massive truckload of weapons, successfully clearing his system mission and scoring a sick additional bonus reward. And oh man, the drop was insane. A superior physical enhancement potion literally doubled the stats of the normal version sold in the system store. Xiao Yong wasted zero time. He loaded that injection up and used it right away, feeling the crazy difference almost instantly. His physical strength stat climbed from the average 5 points straight up to 7. That gave him roughly 40% more raw power than your average NPC. After double-checking the system store, he found only 2 items still in stock, the survival kit and another physical enhancement potion. Wanting to max out his strength even further, Xiao Yong bought the second potion and immediately injected himself again. By the end, his physical stat hit 8 solid points. Now he was rocking roughly 60% more strength than a regular human. Hyped about the results, Xiao Yong grabbed a hardened metal rod to test out his new buff. Just one single kick bent the rod entirely, leaving a huge crack in the nearby wall. With totally broken stats like that, ordinary zombies were not having a fun day. Pretty satisfied with this test, Xiao Yong tossed every single crate of weapons right into his space ring, watching them vanish into the static dimension one by one. Checking over his entire inventory, Xiao Yong realized the apocalypse was literally just 2 days away now. But there were still a few loose ends he needed to wrap up, like that old man who bought his previous apartment. Look, despite the insane trauma from his past life, Xiao Yong kept his humanity. He decided to hook up the old man and his granddaughter with enough supplies to actually boost their survival chances. After that, the rest was totally on them. Cutting to the next scene, Xiao Yong pulled up to the old man's home. Honestly, just finding the place was a struggle. The neighborhood looked super busted, and climbing those stairs made it obvious the old man had been going through it lately. Before even knocking, Xiao Yong decides to handle the supply drop first. Flexing that overpowered space ring, he spawns massive stacks of rations outside the apartment before finally knocking. The old man answers immediately, apologizing for the messy place, but completely freezes, seeing Xiao Yong standing amidst a literal mountain of crates. Xiao Yong skips the whole explanation. He just tells the guy to help him lug everything inside first. Once the heavy lifting is done, the old man is low-key blown away by Xiao Yong's insane stamina. Xiao Yong scans the apartment and realizes the place is actually pretty locked down. Totally satisfied, he drops his voice and warns the old man to keep what he's about to hear strictly off the record. He tells him to ration this stuff carefully because the world is about to go entirely sideways. Mid-speech, Xiao Yong spots a framed photo sitting nearby. The girl in the picture immediately grabs his attention. Plot twist, it is Shen Xiong. She was literally one of his main squad members during the apocalypse in his past life. Needing a vibe check, he straight up asks the old man if that is really her. The grandfather looks totally spooked that Xiao Yong somehow knows his granddaughter's name without anyone ever bringing her up. Xiao Yong immediately demands her location. The old man explains she's still back in her hometown, dealing with some messy school transfer. That info triggers some seriously heavy memories. In his previous life, Shen Xiong was forever traumatized because her grandpa sacrificed himself to save her. Knowing the absolute nightmare coming, Xiao Yong refuses to let history pull a rerun. He immediately hits the old man with a sudden curveball he actually is not moving in. That sudden cancellation almost gives the poor guy a heart attack, but Xiao Yong quickly chills him out and drops the real reason. The apocalypse kicks off tomorrow, and once that server wipes, absolutely nowhere is safe. He pushes the old man to go grab his granddaughter first, and only after they squad up will they figure out a base. Naturally, the old guy thinks this sounds completely crazy. With the clock ticking, Xiao Yong breaks it down in the most basic way possible. A massive disaster is inbound. Starvation becomes the new meta, and surviving means getting sweaty with the prep work. Just to prove he is not capping, Xiao Yong triggers his space ring instantly, sucking all the furniture and crates right back into his storage. The old man is left totally shook. Xiao Yong explains he has a hacked skill set and literally knows the future. If they want any chance at surviving this, they need to dip immediately and bring Shen Xiong home. Cut to them rushing toward her school in a car. The second they pull up, Xiao Yong asks for her dorm room and they sprint inside. Too late, Shen Xiong is already dealing with some major drama. A jealous mean girl is actually slapping her over some random dude's crush. Shen Xiong keeps swearing she has zero interest in him, but this toxic girl refuses to listen and accuses her of making fake excuses. This entire clique just keeps bullying Shen Xiong simply because some guy thinks she's cute. Right on cue, Shen Xiong's grandfather storms in demanding these brats let his granddaughter go. Instead of taking the hint, some teenage punks show up and threaten the old guy for crashing their party. Only caring about keeping his granddaughter safe, the old man charges in blind, completely ignoring that he is severely outnumbered here. One of these toxic little punks raises a baseball bat, getting ready to straight up brain him. Before that bat even connects, Xiao Yong steps up and catches the swing with one bare hand. He stares the kid down, roasting him for acting like some mob boss when he is literally just a high school edgelord. These clowns try acting tough, but Xiao Yong lets his fists do the talking. A single kick sends the first idiot flying so violently into the ground that his entire haircut gets rearranged. Seeing their boy get one-shotted, the other two finally figure out they are definitely not dealing with some average NPC. Watch closely, they actually think jumping Xiao Yong is a big brain play. Horrible idea. The guy with the club tries sneaking a swing from the blind side, but Xiao Yong easily ducks under it like nothing. Thanks to his heavily buffed stats, his reaction speed is completely off the charts now. Before the kid can even blink, Xiao Yong grabs his collar and chokeslams him into the dirt, instant knockout. Watching both his buddies get totally folded in seconds, the so-called leader pulls a knife and tries cheesing a backstab. Too bad for this total tryhard, Xiao Yong reacts way faster. He pivots perfectly and buries a brutal kick right into the guy's upper thigh, dropping him to the floor in pure agony. One by one, every single wannabe tough guy just got sent to sleep. With the trash taken out, Xiao Yong locks onto the mean girl bullying Shen Shang. He pays back that earlier slap with a solid one of his own equal rights means equal lefts, baby. She is totally shook. Then he grabs the other bully by the hair, giving her a massive reality check. Taste of her own medicine. To top it off, Xiao Yong presses a blade right to the ringleader's neck. Homegirl goes completely pale in a split second. One quick slash and she starts shrieking like crazy. For a wild second there, everyone thinks he actually ended her. Even Shen Xuan freezes up. But upon closer inspection, he just gave this toxic chick a super scuffed new haircut. Let us just say the barber went a bit overboard. Big mad, she screeches that she will absolutely never forgive him. Xiao Yong literally could not care less. He even jokes that she finally dropped some unnecessary dead weight. Before dipping, he casually drops that she will get the punchline in a few days. Then he tells Shen Xuan to hurry up and move. She has zero clue where they are going, but she tags along anyway. Back in the whip, Grandpa Li breaks down Xiao Yong's whole warning, hyping up the coming disaster as some massive world-ending famine. Shen Xuan instantly assumes her grandpa fell for some goofy scam. The old man quickly insists it is totally legit. Watching them bicker actually makes our guy smile. At least in this timeline, she still gets wholesome moments like this. Xiao Yong finally owns up. He is the one who tipped Grandpa Li off in the first place. Since she literally never met him in this timeline, he goes ahead and drops a proper intro. She gives him a solid thank you for flexing on those bullies earlier. He takes the win, but those punks are irrelevant now. In a few days, school drama will be the absolute least of their worries. Shen Xuan is still struggling to compute, so Xiao Yong explains he only called it a famine so her grandpa would not completely freak out. Hearing that gives her a little copium, thinking maybe things will not be so awful. Bro instantly shuts that down. Not a famine, a literal apocalypse. That one word absolutely nukes whatever hopium she had left. He explains that if the timeline holds, totally unhinged incidents should already be going viral nationwide. Shen Xuan whips out her phone and starts doom-scrolling the news feeds. Clip after clip shows infected dudes acting out of pocket, just mauling random bystanders. The more she binge-watches, the more horrified she gets. Seeing those uploads, Xiao Yong knows his prediction is totally validated. The end of the world is literally right here. He drops the lore by tomorrow, a toxic smog will blanket multiple provinces, permanently mutating any living thing dumb enough to breathe it in. A massive chunk of the population is going to instantly turn into zombies. And anyone they clip will just respawn on their team, making the horde grow crazy fast. At least she knows the zombie trope from movies, but playing it out in real life is a completely different kind of sick joke. The whole setup still feels like a massive prank. Xiao Yong just promises she will figure it out soon enough. Give it a week and the whole world is cooked. But right now, they have a way more annoying problem. Traffic is completely jammed up on the highway and even the emergency lane is stuffed. Shen Xuan starts tweaking, totally terrified some zombies might catch them lacking right here. Our boy talks her down, the full patch has not dropped yet, so they are not in immediate danger. Still, he admits some minor random encounters could definitely pop off before the main boss event. Right on cue, some absolute menace aggressively forces his way into the emergency lane and rear-ends Xiao Yong's ride. Xiao Yong is absolutely not letting that slide. He blocks the dude from passing, forcing him to a dead stop. This guy immediately rolls down his window, just yapping and hurling insults. Spotting the flashy Mercedes, Grandpa Li whispers that they should just ignore this spoiled trust fund baby and keep moving. Nah, our main character is built different. If this bozo wants smoke, he has no problem handing out an early vibe check. Roughly an hour later, traffic finally starts creeping forward again. Honestly, you cannot make this up. Shen Xuan spots that exact same Mercedes bozo speeding up right behind them again. Even Xiao Yong has to respect the pure dedication to hating. This spoiled kid guns it cuts them off again just to flex on them. Grandpa Li begs him to just touch grass and ignore it, but Xiao Yong is way past caring about NPCs like this. With the literal apocalypse dropping in hours, a traffic violation is not exactly stressing him out. Instead of arguing, he just slams the gas and completely pits the Mercedes, sending it spinning off into the ditch. Big mad, the trust fund baby hops out and dials the cops, super determined to get Xiao Yong locked up, just for scratching his precious ride. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong and the squad finally return to the fortress. Our guy spent ages prepping this base. Grandpa Li is absolutely shook after seeing the place with his own eyes. Xiao Yong casually drops the bomb that tomorrow their lives are going to change completely, basically telling them to touch grass and sleep while they can. The next morning, he is just chilling outside. Shen Shang strolls over, admitting that was the most goated sleep she has had in ages after endless classes. Xiao Yong decides to give her the grand tour. Walking through the compound, he explains how the outer walls are heavy concrete. The main gate is remote-controlled and tough enough to block any forced entry. Then he lays down the biggest rule. Nobody steps foot inside the main fortress without his direct permission. Shen Xian immediately stresses about future survivors pulling up for help. She asks if they are seriously just going to leave people out there. He totally gets her concern and brings them to another section. Here he explains that a literal apocalypse changes people for the worse. Playing nice will easily get everyone killed out here. But to avoid completely ditching innocent folks, he already set up a separate buffer zone, a spot where survivors can grab temporary shelter without entering the actual base. Even so, Xiao Yong doubles down on his warning. Nobody gets into the main base unless he personally gives the green light. With that settled, he leads them straight to the food warehouse, showing off where he stashed all the sick survival supplies. Before wrapping up, Xiao Yong quietly activates Mind Eye, running a quick vibe check on Grandpa Li and Shen Shang. Seeing absolutely zero red flags and pure trust, he is finally hyped that he picked the perfect squad. Then he flexes his space ring, pulling out some weapons. Grandpa Li gets a massive shotgun, while Shen Shang scores a heavily upgraded crossbow. Xiao Yong gives them one brutally simple instruction. Do not let anyone else get their hands on those weapons. Base secured, he finally checks his next system mission. The new objective is recruiting his old teammate Jiang Qi, an absolute bro who fought right by his side, back in his past life. Only issue is finding him. Luckily, the goated system pinpoints the exact city where Jiang Qi is chilling. Leaving Shen Shang and Grandpa Li to hold down the fort, he reminds them to strictly follow every single rule. Xiao Yong heads out to recruit another solid ally before this apocalypse officially drops. Now watch this, we jump to a KTV where Jiang Qi is enjoying a sick karaoke night with friends. During a break, Jiang Qi heads to the restroom and completely by accident bumps into a random girl. He says sorry right away, but her boyfriend does not care at all. The guy kicks Jiang Qi so hard he goes flying backward. Seeing his bro hit the floor, another group member rushes in. Four Eyes steps up to the plate to defend Jiang Qi, which just makes this absolute meathead even madder. The dude grabs him like a rag doll and starts totally throwing his weight around. Jiang Qi quickly begs the guy to back off before things escalate. Nearby, a waiter clocks the whole wild scene unfolding. Even though the poor guy is clearly feeling sick, he still steps up trying to break up the fight. This wannabe rich punk instantly grabs the waiter too. Before it gets worse, the waiter secretly gives Jiang Qi and his friend the signal to book it while they still can. Those two waste zero time sprinting back to their room. The rest of the squad is super confused by the panicked entrance. Four Eyes spills the tea on everything, explaining how they just ran into a crazy group of thugs, and they only escaped because that waiter stepped up. Hearing that instantly pisses off every single guy in the room. They want to roll out and settle the score themselves. Nobody messes with their boy. Jiang Qi quickly tries stopping them, telling the crew there is 0 point actively hunting for trouble. Unfortunately, trouble is already knocking. That poor waiter is now beaten completely bloody. The rich thug just came back with 3 more heavily built friends. Instead of letting it drop, this whole squad is now actively hunting for Jiang Qi and his entire group. The main meathead immediately orders his goons to grab everyone. Totally outnumbered and unprepared, Jiang Qi and Four Eyes just huddled down, praying they do not make things worse. Only one dude from their squad still has the guts to stand up. Chen barely gets a single word out before the leader completely smashes a heavy bottle over his head. Blood instantly starts pouring down his face, but the absolute madman is somehow still conscious. Right on cue, Xiao Yong rolls up outside the KTV. Inside, the leader turns to his girlfriend, who demands they properly punish the guy who bumped her. All eyes lock straight back onto Jiang Qi. Before the guy could even reach him, Chen suddenly forces himself back up and straight up charges the thug leader. If another goon hadn't body blocked him, that punch totally would have connected. Instead, the thug leader rewards that brave energy by smashing a second bottle right over his head. Chen hits the floor again and his friends absolutely lose their minds, screaming. Watching his buddy get totally wrecked like that finally pushes Jiang Qi over the edge. He rushes in, but the thugs instantly grab him before he can do anything crazy. Their last friend is just standing there frozen, while the waiter, who tried helping earlier, struggles to even stay awake. Then the vibe completely shifts. The waiter gets these bloodshot eyes and suddenly lunges into the crowd like a literal wild animal. Zero warning, he sinks his teeth straight into a thug's shoulder. The whole room absolutely freezes. Nobody gets why this waiter just crashed out so hard. The goons rush over to hold him down, but the infected dude casually overpowers them with insane strength. He whips around, takes a massive bite out of another guy's arm, and tackles him hard. Just when things are looking totally cooked, some dude casually grabs the crazed waiter and slams him against the wall, completely pinning him. That guy is the absolute legend Xiao Yong. The room falls silent. Seconds ago, a whole squad of grown men couldn't stop this zombie waiter, but Xiao Yong handles him solo without even breaking a sweat. The thug boss starts screaming, demanding to know who he is, but Xiao Yong leaves him on read and looks straight at Jiang Qi. He doesn't even ask about the brawl, he just wants to know if Jiang Qi got bitten anywhere. Totally confused, Jiang Qi does a quick pat-down and says no. Xiao Yong immediately tells him to dip out with him because they are out of time. Of course, the thug leader is way too toxic to let them just walk away. Before he can try anything, one of his own guys, the thug who got bitten, suddenly grabs his head in absolute agony. Xiao Yong knows exactly what is up. The virus is already spreading like crazy. He asks if that shoulder bite came from the waiter. The thug says, yeah, still totally clueless about why that is such a huge deal. Xiao Yong already knew the math. That waiter was fully turned, and getting chewed on that close to the brain means this poor idiot is completely cooked. Xiao Yong casually drags the infected waiter straight into the restroom and locks him inside. The zombie instantly starts throwing itself against the door, but right now, it doesn't have the brain cells to actually turn a knob. Turning back to the goons, Xiao Yong stretches his shoulders and casually asks Jiangxi which guy he should absolutely wreck first. Here is the absolute funniest part though. Jiangxi still has absolutely zero idea who this guy even is. Super salty over the absolute disrespect, the thug leader charges in swinging. Xiao Yong just answers by palming his face and slamming his head straight down into the floor. The bitten lackey rushes up next, only to get completely folded by a single slap that drops him hard. Watching one hit basically delete their boy leaves the rest of the thugs totally shook. They just can't comprehend someone hitting that hard. Meanwhile, the infected lackey starts twisting up violently on the floor as the virus takes the wheel. Xiao Yong stares down the leftover goons and basically tells them they are about to learn why starting fights is a trash hobby. Then he orders Jiangxi to grab his injured buddy and get the heck out. After seeing this absolute cinema play out, Jiangxi doesn't even argue, he just helps his guys escape. As for the thug leader and his crew, they have zero motivation to keep throwing hands right now. Too bad for them, Xiao Yong is not about to let them walk after they almost sent his future teammate to the Shadow Realm. He completely roasts the thug leader, calling him a drunk piece of garbage who almost killed his bro over literally nothing. Then he just shoves the guy right into the restroom, slams the door shut, and locks it fast. The boss aggressively pounds on the door, but yeah, it is way too late. Inside that room, the bitten lackey has fully mutated into a zombie, immediately attacking the closest guys to him. Standing right outside, Xiao Yong quietly listens to the screaming echoing down the hallway as the zombies literally tear them apart. A staff member finally rushes over, totally freaked out, wanting to know what the crazy noise is. Xiao Yong instantly tells him to double lock it and call the cops, making up a story about some highly dangerous rabies patient being trapped inside. The worker just freezes up until Xiao Yong barks at him to snap out of it and actually get moving. Snapping back to reality, the guy scrambles to lock the door with his actual key. With that little mess handled, Xiao Yong escorts Jiangxi and his squad straight toward the exit. Meanwhile, the rest of the staff is getting super stressed over the non-stop banging and horrific screaming echoing out of that room. They only heard some rabid guy was locked in there, but nobody actually knows how sick things are getting. Trying to figure out what just happened, the staff books it to the surveillance room. They pull up the security cams. The second that footage drops on screen, every single face in the room turns totally ghost white. The people inside, not human anymore. They are literally going feral, ripping into each other like total beasts without a second thought. Completely horrified, the staff dials up the cops immediately. But by then, Xiao Yong and the squad have already dipped from the karaoke bar. The second everyone piles into the ride, they peel out and ditch the scene entirely. Jiangxi is super hyped about being saved, but he still has zero clue who Xiao Yong actually is. Playing it totally cool, Xiao Yong introduces himself. He claims some highly classified client hired him to keep them safe. One of Jiangxi's bros brings up this so-called rabid flu. He points out there is literally zero info about it online. Xiao Yong just reminds them of the unhinged stuff they literally just witnessed. He asks if they seriously still think it is just some fake internet rumor. Four Eyes nervously asks if there is some kind of cure for this infection. Xiao Yong just shakes his head. Based on his intel, nope. Things are actually about to get insanely worse. The entire world is literally about to hit rock-bottom chaos. Even right now, actual zombies are already jumping people. The outbreak only looks small because most of these infected guys are still incubating. But once they fully turn, the real nightmare officially drops, which is exactly why Jiangxi and his crew need to follow his every single order with zero hesitation. Realizing things are crazy serious, now the squad agrees. Right on cue, Xiao Yong gets a ping saying his recruitment quest is officially done. His system unlocks a bunch of new shop items. A few are just basic survival gear. But the craziest drop by far is a straight-up post-apocalyptic cultivator box. Checking out his massive loot, Xiao Yong decides he will claim all this go-to gear once they make it back to home base. Even with Jiangxi on the team, they have a massive problem. In his past life, this whole squad basically got wiped off the map, all because one of these exact friends stabbed them in the back. The rat is hiding right here among these three dudes. Now, Xiao Yong has to sniff out this rat before history loops. Meanwhile, watch closely, Kuei Jin is dealing with her own messy drama. After hearing the wild outbreak news, she's literally too paranoid to even touch grass at a supermarket. She demands her groceries get delivered straight to her apartment. Suddenly, crazy loud banging echoes right at her front door. That spooks her so bad she instantly hangs up on Xu Xiang, cautiously peeking outside. She finally chills out after realizing it is just her bestie. Her friend immediately starts spilling the tea on their first-floor neighbor. Dude just got hauled off by the cops in an ambulance, totally suspected of catching that wild new infection. Seeing all this happen right outside makes the whole apocalyptic vibe feel way too real. She then asks if Xu Xiang actually dropped off his promised supplies. Unluckily, absolutely nothing has shown up yet. Instead of just waiting around Xu, Sha cooks up a totally different plan. She suggests hard manipulating Xu Xiang by boosting his massive ego. Apparently, Xiao Yong has been secretly hoarding insane amounts of gear. Kuei Jin is mind-blown, asking how she even knows all this tea. Xu Sha proudly brags that she is using an inside guy to stalk Xiao Yong, basically tracking every single massive order he drops. Hearing that it finally clicks for Kuei Jin, Xiao Yong definitely knew this whole apocalypse was dropping ahead of time. Xu Sha immediately talks her into spilling everything to Xu Xiang, scheming to just straight-up hijack Xiao Yong's stash. They plan to make absolute bank off it. Somehow, these incredibly greedy snakes are already plotting to loot the very dude they completely backstabbed. Meanwhile, back at the base, Jiang Qi is just staring in absolute disbelief. He never thought someone would actually build a legit goated fortress. Xiao Yong cannot help but smirk. That hyped reaction is exactly what he wanted to see. Shen Xuan and Grandpa Li welcome him back, super relieved the guy made it home safely. Xiao Yong promises them everything is completely chill, then officially introduces Jiang Qi and the boys as the absolute newest members of the squad. He introduces Shen Xuan and Grandpa Li right back. Everyone vibes immediately with zero drama, completely trusting Xiao Yong's judgment call. Xiao Yong asks Grandpa Li to give the newbies the grand tour, clearly laying out every single rule they better follow. While taking it all in, one of Jiang Qi's buddies raises his hand, straight up demanding some weapons for their own protection. The second this dude asks for heavy artillery, Xiao Yong quietly bumps him way up on his totally sketchy suspect list. He already knows somebody in this crew will eventually pull a fast one, and Yiming is definitely not making himself look innocent. Before Xiao Yong can even clap back, Four Eyes quickly jumps in and tells Yiming to chill out. Begging for gear before they earn any trust is only going to make this mess way more toxic. That was getting mad awkward. Xiao Yong smoothly promised they'd get strapped in a few days. But right now, fixing up Chen and dealing with his crazy injuries was the main focus. With that out of the way, the crew headed inside the base to scrub up and change. Later on, Yiming was straight up whining that Four Eyes totally sold their chance to get strapped. In his head, without the interruption, they would already hold serious firepower. Even wilder, he fully brainwashed himself into thinking they were hostages instead of VIP guests. Four Eyes clapped back that Xiao Yong literally saved their lives, so throwing shade like that was pure clown behavior. The squad admitted they were still super curious about Xiao Yong. All they really knew was some shadow client paid him for protection. Yiming refused to hear it. He got extra salty seeing Chen quarantined since everyone was terrified he might be infected. Somehow, this dude convinced himself Xiao Yong's crew was secretly plotting to harvest their organs. His big brain solution was to strike first. Four Eyes immediately warned him that guessing wrong meant betraying the exact guy who saved them. Yiming did not care. Instead, he straight up admitted he wanted to hijack the entire base. With Xiao Yong out, he even suggested taking out Shenshang and Grandpa Li to clear their path. The room went dead silent. Jiang Qi and the squad stared at him like he needed to touch grass. Realizing he took it way too far, Yiming nervously laughed it off and claimed he was just trolling. The tension dropped. But Four Eyes hit him with facts. If Xiao Yong actually wanted them dead, he would never let them roam the base so freely. Yiming faked agreeing, but inside his mind was set. He was totally going rogue. In the next scene, Xiao Yong met up with Shen Xiang and Grandpa Li. They gave him the rundown. Chen was chilling in the infirmary and all security protocols were locked in exactly as ordered. Hyped about their solid work, Xiao Yong thanked them. He told them to crash out because tomorrow was bringing way bigger headaches. Before signing off, he quietly warned them to watch Jiang Qi's other two buddies. He definitely suspected one of them was an upcoming snake. That night, Xiao Yong slid into the supply warehouse and fired up the system store. He started by cracking the cultivator box. Then he copped the heavy food supply drop right before grabbing the armed deterrence box. The loot was absolutely goated. Along with 50 corn seeds, he scored a massive food stash plus another 1,500 rounds of ammo. Checking out this absolute mountain of loot, Xiao Yong knew these drops were an insane advantage for when the apocalypse actually hit. The very next day, massive trouble came knocking way sooner than anybody expected. That spoiled Mercedes clown from the highway finally tracked Xiao Yong down, and he brought a whole squad of goons looking for payback. His very first order was dead simple: smash the base gate wide open. His goons immediately got to work. But after throwing their entire arsenal at it, the gate did not even take a single scratch. The rich brat was completely shook. Since brute force failed, they whipped out Molotov cocktails and started lobbing them right over the walls. Flames quickly erupted inside the yard. This forced Shen Xiong and the others to scramble over and put the fires out. Watching this raid unfold only convinced Shen Xiong even more. Xiao Yong was 100% right about the world getting insanely dangerous. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong wasn't about to just away from keyboard. He grabbed his rifle and scaled the watchtower to scope out these attackers. Grandpa Li instantly recognized that same rich jerk from the highway. The thugs also spotted Xiao Yong standing way up above them. Their boss screamed for him to come outside. He threatened to burn the entire base to the ground if he refused. Xiao Yong stayed completely chill. He told them they had exactly 5 minutes to walk away. That cold response only made the rich brat rage even harder. He bragged about their 2 crates of Molotovs. But watch this right then, Xiao Yong scored a brand new system quest. The objective was dead simple: eliminate the threat attacking the base. Grandpa Li nervously suggested firing a warning shot first, but Xiao Yong knew that was a total waste of time. The guys outside weren't barking empty threats anymore. They were already carrying out a full raid. Knowing exactly what kind of trash he was dealing with, Xiao Yong refused to let them keep terrorizing everyone inside his base. He raised his rifle, lined up the shot, and pulled the trigger. The bullet tore through a thug's arm, dropping him screaming. Xiao Yong clicked his tongue. He actually aimed for the head, but it had been way too long. He is barely used to the gun, so his aim is slightly off. Still, blowing an arm clean off totally shatters their confidence. These clowns who showed up acting all tough instantly dip and run like total cowards. Xiao Yong is not about to let them respawn and try again tomorrow. He just keeps blasting. One by one, the fleeing thugs drop dead. The few who actually reach the car chuck their boss inside. He yells at the driver to step on the gas. Too bad for them, fleeing does not save their skin. Xiao Yong aims his rifle at the ride and absolutely laces it with bullets before it moves an inch. Grandpa Li watches him wield that gun like a pro. It leaves him wondering what kind of crazy life this kid lived before. As for the rich punk and his squad, their revenge gets canceled right by the road. The car's wrecked. Literally 0 survivors. They came looking for smoke and got exactly what they ordered. After the wipeout, Xiao Yong tells Grandpa Li to gather the squad and clean up. But halfway through, he totally changes his mind. Since the apocalypse is officially live, leaving those bodies outside gives them free zombie targets for combat practice later. Instead of doing chores, he orders everyone to leave the dead bodies exactly where they dropped. Right then, another party is heading straight for the base. Xusheng rolls up, and Kujin and Shuya are riding shotgun. Kujin is getting seriously salty. Her supposed bestie is acting way too thirsty around Xusheng. Once they park near the fortress, Kujin wants Shuya to tag along. But Shuya suddenly chickens out and tries to cancel. Kujin is not having it. Without a guide, Xusheng's crew has 0 clue which base actually belongs to Xiao Yong. So she drags Shuya out despite all the whining. As the girls walk up, Xusheng quietly tells his boys to stay frosty. Once they get the green light, they will roll in and crash the party. Walking up, Shuya asks why she is being forced into this. Kujin bluntly reminds her that they are in the same toxic boat. There is no way she lets her touch grass now. Before the drama continues, both girls just stop in their tracks. A bunch of bodies are chilling outside. It is pretty obvious a massive shootout just happened. For a hot second, both of them seriously think about hitting reverse. But hold up, a wild thought hits them. What if this dead squad also came for Xiao Yong's loot? That immediately makes them wonder if Xiao Yong actually got eliminated during the crossfire. They literally could not care less about him. They just want to know if all those stacked supplies are sitting inside waiting for a loot drop. They briefly consider falling back and letting Xusheng carry this. But Kujin decides they should creep closer and scout the area first. Reaching the entrance, they find the massive gate is completely locked down. Looking at that absolute unit of a gate, brute force is not an option. That makes them question if Xiao Yong is actually alive. High up in the watchtower, Shen Shen spots them and demands to know what their deal is. Both girls instantly fake their innocent faces, claiming they are Xiao Yong's besties. Shen Shen radios the whole thing down to him. Hearing some other girl's voice makes Kujin super salty. She assumes Xiao Yong already found a replacement. Shuya quickly tells her to chill out with the jealousy. They are literally standing in front of heavily armed guards. Plus, she is pretty confident Xusheng and his boys can easily clutch this. They brought plenty of guns themselves. The only real problem is getting past that massive gate. Xiao Yong soon casually walks up to the wall and stares down at his visitors. Curious about their real vibe, he turns on Mind's Eye. Their smiles look solid on the outside, but their brains are basically just plotting pure toxic garbage. They pretend they are super stressed about his safety. Xiao Yong just cracks up at the cringe acting. Then he drops a bomb. He casually exposes that Xusheng and all his goons are camping nearby waiting for a signal. Both girls are completely paralyzed. They have 0 idea how he just read their entire playbook. And this is where things get crazy. Xiao Yong skips the explanation and pops a warning shot. The blast terrifies Kujin and Shuya instantly. Shuya somehow keeps her cool. She quietly warns Kujin to back down because the guy aiming a sniper at them is not someone they control. As for Xiao Yang, he is definitely not ending their game just yet. For snakes like them, a quick game over is way too nice. Out of nowhere, one of the dead dudes outside violently twitches and stands up. Then another gets up, and another. Every single thug Xiao Yong left outside is literally respawning as a zombie. That insane rapid infection from the news is officially bringing the dead back to life. Back from the dead. Xiao Yong watches this whole sick scene play out without even blinking. To him, this is goated karma. He wants Kuei-jin and Xu Xia to find out exactly what happens when you refuse to touch grass and dig your own grave. Both women panic hard. They totally sprint for survival. Hyped up on pure panic, they bolt away from the growing undead horde, running straight back to Xu Xiao's crew, who have zero clue what is going on. That confusion completely vanishes the second they spot the infected charging in. Both girls just start bawling, literally begging the big guy to save their lives. Xu Xiao did not sign up to fight actual zombies out in the open. He instantly drops whatever plan they had and yells at his squad to fall back. Playing hero is totally off his agenda right now. He just flat out ditches them. Kuei-jin totally refuses to just accept dying like this. In the most toxic move ever, she chucks her bag right at Xu Xia. Her supposed bestie trips hard and eats dirt on the pavement. Completely cornered, Xu Xia gets swarmed in seconds. The undead tear straight into her flesh while she screams her lungs out. Getting literally eaten alive, she still manages to curse Kuei-jin out, swearing her former friend will catch way worse karma soon. Meanwhile, Kuei-jin keeps booking it without glancing back, absolutely convinced sacrificing her buddy was a big brain play. Chilling at the base, Xiao Yong actually gets system points for wiping out another threat. Shen Shun just stands there watching the massacre in absolute horror. Right on cue, Xiao Yong gets another system quest to clear out the zombies roaming around his fortress. Shen Shun is honestly struggling to process how this virus literally makes dead bodies stand back up. Xiao Yong breaks it down. This is just the tutorial phase. The living do not just turn into regular zombies. Even flatlining doesn't stop them. They mutate and rise again. Knowing his crew really needs a massive reality check, Xiao Yong immediately calls the whole squad together for a mandatory briefing. When the team shows up, he orders them to stay totally paranoid and keep every single entrance locked down tight. He points out that their human bodies still need serious time to adapt to the virus in the air. Adapt successfully and you win. Those random mutation odds drop hard. Despite the good news, Jiang Shi is stressing super hard over Chen. His banged-up bro is still stuck inside the med bay. That nasty infection in his veins is slowly getting worse. Meanwhile, outside the walls, the entire city has gone completely psycho. Massive fires rage across the block. The actual apocalypse levels up fast. Now check this out. We jump over to Old Song. He tells his family to bunker down inside while he hits the warehouse for leftover loot. He aggressively warns them to keep the door shut no matter what. But yeah, someone starts violently knocking almost immediately. Shushing his family, Old Song grabs a golf club and creeps up to the front door, totally ready to go full batter up if a zombie breaks through. Checking the peephole, he actually recognizes Yang Tao and completely drops his guard. Massive mistake. Yang Tao brought a whole squad with him. The second that door opens, they rush the place and beat Old Song right into the floor. Mind blown by the backstab, Old Song yells out asking what his deal is. But Yang Tao shows zero respect for the boss who kept him fed. Instead, the dude just constantly whines. He always felt like some basic servant. Old Song fires back that he literally fronted the cash for Yang Tao's house. But this snake just brushes it off, claiming a rich guy like Old Song should easily afford a few extra cribs anyway. His actual motive here is pretty simple. He wants those warehouse keys to basically raid every item left inside. Since Old Song plays hardball, Yang Tao instantly targets the family. He straight up yanks the wife by her hair, making their little kid scream at him. That poor kid barely gets a word out before Yang Tao absolutely smacks him across the face. Watching his fam get roughed up pushes Old Song into instant rage mode, but Yang Tao just coldly claims they stay safe if the boss plays along. Having literally zero other options left, Old Song has to march them straight to the warehouse. Once those doors unlock, the thugs blitz inside, only for Yang Tao to realize the joint is totally wiped clean. Seeing red, he just snaps. Old Song brings up their whale client Xiao Yong, who basically bought the entire inventory, even all the crusty expired food. There is barely anything left to loot. But the second Xiao Yong gets name-dropped, Yang Tao's eyes absolutely light up. If Xiao Yong hoarded all that loot jumping, his base solves every single problem. Old Song instantly tries warning him off that crazy idea. Based on his own shady dealings, he already knows that young dude is completely built different and super dangerous. He honestly thinks Xiao Yong somehow got spoilers for the apocalypse and speedrun his prep work. Of course, Yang Tao ignores every single warning. Instead of risking his own skin, Yang Tao makes his former boss do all the dirty work. Old Song is completely clueless until this dude makes his twisted intentions crystal clear. If Old Song fumbles bagging Xiao Yong's supplies, Yang Tao promises to take his anger out on his wife and kid instead. With his family's lives totally hanging on the line, Old Song just has to obey. Meanwhile, back at the fortress, Chen's condition is straight up tanking. The infection wipes out his sanity entirely, leaving him thrashing around like a literal wild beast. Seeing their bro deteriorate into this absolute mess leaves Jiang Qi and the squad totally devastated. Right then, Yiming coldly drops the idea of putting Chen down. Xiao Yong quietly notes this guy's ruthless vibe. Jiang Qi is flabbergasted that Yiming would even suggest this, but the guy totally doubles down. He argues there is 0 point keeping a guy alive without a cure. Plus, if Chen breaks out, everyone inside the fortress is totally cooked. As brutal as that sounds, Xiao Yong admits he makes sense. There is literally no way to save Chen anymore. Instead of answering straight up, Xiao Yong pulls a blade and hands it right to Yi Ming. The room goes dead silent. Now watch this power move. Yi Ming stares at the weapon, realizing the catch. If he really wants Chen dead, Xiao Yong wants him doing the dirty deed. The blade shakes in Yi Ming's hand. Xiao Yong calmly reminds him that he has been begging for a weapon since day one. Well, now he has one. If icing Chen is the right call, he can personally send his friend packing. Before Yi Ming can even react, Jiang Qi steps up and snatches the blade right away. He knows the heavy cost, so he volunteers to do it himself. Xiao Yong drops a brutal warning. Cross this line and you live with taking your bro's life forever. Jiang Qi accepts the burden. He trusts Xiao Yong completely, totally ready to do what must be done. Spotting his resolve, Xiao Yong gives the green light. Jiang Qi raises the blade totally locked in. But right before the strike lands, Xiao Yong stops him. Total pivot. This is no normal infection. His system just pinged him. Chen is hitting a super rare mutation, making him way more valuable alive than dead. With everyone gone, Xiao Yong steps into the room solo. Chen snarls like an absolute feral beast. But Xiao Yong walks right up to him, showing absolutely zero fear. Staring the infected dude down, he calmly reminds him he still has one final job to do. Next day, Old Song's luck somehow hits rock bottom. Driving toward the base, he straight up crashes his ride into a pole. Thankfully, the fortress is pretty close, so he decides to just hoof it the rest of the way. Bad move. A zombie suddenly jumps him out of nowhere, and during the scuffle, it actually chomps his arm. Old Song shoves the creep away, books it to his car, grabs a pipe, and goes full aggro. He bashes the zombie over the head on repeat until it collapses into a totally bloody mess. Here is the kicker. The fight took way too long. More zombies are already closing in to crash the party. Injured and totally wiped, Old Song keeps dragging himself toward the base. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong has everyone outside for combat training. The whole squad gets strapped with weapons to go clear out the zombies lurking around their turf. Chen Xuan struggles hard with her protective gear, whining that the fit is just insanely uncomfortable. Xiao Yong breaks it down. This armor is mandatory because these zombies pack explosive bursts of strength, especially against total noobs. Once they actually get good, they can care about comfort. Before long, the squad spots a lone zombie wandering around. Xiao Yong signals everyone to get hyped and ready. The target has officially entered their attack range. The zombie spots them and immediately rushes in. As it lunges, Xiao Yong calmly tells the squad to stick to his game plan. They gotta keep proper spacing and constantly cover each other's backs. He cleanly sidesteps the zombie's swipe, showing them exactly how to pop an opening right after dodging. He explains the most goated strike zones are the temples and the back of the freaking neck. Four Eyes gathers his guts and swings hard at the zombie's dome. Sadly, he just totally embarrasses himself instead of doing actual damage. Xiao Yong instantly calls out the blunder. Bonking the skull is literally the worst way to fight these freaks. Even worse, that brutal whiff leaves Four Eyes massively exposed. The zombie counters hard, forcing him to desperately block the incoming hit with his weapon. The zombie refuses to let Four Eyes even breathe, relentlessly pushing right at him. The poor dude desperately holds off the attack, just praying someone steps up to bail him out. Xiao Yong actually gives him some solid credit for holding on. At least the dude actually threw hands instead of just totally freezing up. Spotting an opening, Jiang Qi rushes in and smacks that zombie right across the back of the neck. It is a crazy accurate hit right where Xiao Yong told them to aim. That gives the whole squad a perfect opening to jump the creature until it stops twitching. Xiao Yong reminds the crew that one clean shot is totally not enough. They gotta keep swinging until they are 100% sure the freak is dead. Jiang Qi turns around and asks how the team did. Xiao Yong just tells them to go ahead and judge that for themselves. Before they can even vibe, another zombie sneaks up on Xiao Yong from his blind spot. Jiangqi screams out a quick warning. The monster is literally inches from biting his shoulder, but he just casually turns around. He grabs it by the head and stops it cold. Zero panic at all. Xiao Yong just uses the jump scare as another teaching moment. He reminds everybody that checking your six is just as important as knowing where to strike. Watching him flex so effortlessly leaves the rest of the squad completely hyped by his goated reflexes. Meanwhile, Old Song keeps making his way over toward the fortress. Seeing random cars parked outside, he cannot help wondering if some other crew already beat Xiao Yong and completely hijacked the base. Then he hears voices nearby. Recognizing Xiao Yong talking, he carefully sneaks closer and hides right behind a parked car. He just wants to see the drama. But watch this, what he finds is actually wild. Xiao Yong and his squad are casually hunting together. Bad luck for Old Song, though. Something else is hiding under that exact same car. Juya is fully infected now. She suddenly crawls right out and grabs his leg. The jump scare sends him crashing hard to the dirt. Totally exposed, he watches in pure horror as the zombie lunges straight for him. Right before she connects, a loud gunshot blasts through the air. Juya gets her head popped and her body drops right beside him. Xiao Yong steps up right on time. Old Song shoves the gross body away while Xiao Yong asks why he even bothered coming out here. Old Song tries to explain everything, but before he even finishes, Xiao Yong spots a nasty bite mark on his arm. His vibe shifts instantly. Raising the gun, Xiao Yong calmly says that Old Song is totally beyond saving now. Old Song begs him to listen before pulling the trigger. Xiao Yong actually agrees to hear him out, but he makes it super clear no infected dude is getting anywhere near him. Old Song just sadly accepts his dark fate. He knows his clock is ticking fast. Before he turns into a total freak, the only thing he wants is to save his family. He explains how Yang Tao took his wife and kid hostage, forcing him to steal all of Xiao Yong and his sick supply stash. Old Song admits he made a ton of dumb mistakes in life, but even he never sank as low as that trash Yang Tao. His family had literally nothing to do with this drama, but Yang Tao still wants to use them as leverage. Swallowing his pride, Old Song begs Xiao Yong to intervene. Xiao Yong quietly thinks it over. Xu Shang was always crazy selfish, but Old Song actually came clutch with those supplies before the world ended. Plus, adding loyal people to the base is honestly not a bad move. Just then, the game system hands Xiao Yong a brand new quest. Rescuing the family of Old Song drops him a solid 25 points upon completion. Stacking that with his active quest to clear base zombies makes the choice super easy. Xiao Yong accepts the request and promises to protect his folks. Hearing that promise, Old Song drops to his knees, completely overwhelmed with gratitude. By now, the dude can feel the zombie virus taking over. Knowing he is basically out of time, he asks for one last favor. He really does not want to die around people. Xiao Yong calls out for Shen Xiang and asks her to grab a bike from storage, even though she has zero idea why she just runs to get it. Xiao Yong tells him to pedal out somewhere totally isolated so nobody gets hurt when he finally turns. Old Song just nods and accepts the plan. He thanks Xiao Yong one last time. Next thing we see, he pedals away all alone while the sick virus steadily eats his brain. Even in his final moments of being human, he is only thinking about them. After watching the guy disappear, Xiao Yong turns back to the messy pile of zombies. He dumps gasoline all over the bodies and sets them blazing, turning everything to ash. And just like that, the first actual training session for the squad officially ends. Xiao Yong looks pretty satisfied with the results. As long as they stick together, they can easily handle a few random zombies. But trying to survive a massive horde is still way above their current pay grade. They need way more practice first. Xiao Yong just tells everybody to follow his lead. The crew heads to another storage facility inside the fortress. Xiao Yong tells Grandpa Li to guard the weapon warehouse. He needs him on night watch because he is heading into the city solo. Grandpa Li is totally lost. Why would Xiao Yong willingly walk into a completely wrecked, chaotic city? Hearing this crazy plan, Jiangqi and Four Eyes instantly volunteer to tag along on the mission. But Xiao Yong shuts that down fast. He flat out tells them they just do not have the stats for it. Right now, their only job is defending the base while he handles the actual deadly work himself. A few minutes later, Xiao Yong is already on the road, fully geared up and ready to roll. Mid-drive, he pulls up the system store. For the first time in forever, the digital shelves are practically wiped clean. But hey, the refresh button is finally active. This time, he actually drops some points to manually re-roll the shop. A brand new loot pool instantly drops. He spots a black tech box, a life-saving box, and an armed threat box. The system also drops a warning: every manual reroll is going to double the cost of the next one, meaning he literally cannot afford to spam refresh. After checking the options, Xiao Yong decides the black tech box is the ultimate play. He buys it, leaving his wallet crying with only 6 points left. Unboxing it rewards him with another physical enhancement potion, but this goated version boosts his stats by 5 whole points instead of 2. It is a massive buff compared to the last one. Without a second thought, Xiao Yong slams the potion into his system. As the juice kicks in, his physical stats just completely skyrocket to a whole new tier. He isn't just driving around randomly. He is heading straight for Old Song's house where the guy's wife is anxiously waiting. She hopes he can fix this mess. Instead, Yang Tao and his toxic squad bust the doors down. Terrified, the defenseless woman asks what their deal is. One of these absolute creeps just forces his way right up to her. He shamelessly announces they are going to have some fun while her husband is out. She fights back hard. She begs them to back off. Her young son even tries shoving one of the guys, though he is way too small to actually do damage. Right then, a guy named Lee walks into the room, totally annoyed, demanding to know what all the screaming is about. One of the goons casually says they are about to have some fun, even inviting Lee to join the sick party. Lee immediately shuts that garbage down. He reminds the squad that the mission isn't even finished yet, so messing around is literally the last thing they should be doing. One thug whines, saying they have done this exact thing a million times before. So what is the big deal? Lee loses his cool and reminds the idiot exactly whose family they are messing with here. If Old Song's wife ends her own life over this, Old Song is going to go totally rogue with nothing left to lose. They will all be on his hit list. He tells the goon to touch grass and wait until it is done. Once Old Song is officially handled, they can do whatever. Grumbling that Lee just completely killed the vibe, the thug reluctantly backs off anyway. As the squad walks out, one of them shoots the terrified woman, a totally disgusting grin. He tells her to wait her turn. Left alone, the mother and her kid can literally do nothing but hold each other and cry. Night falls and zombies completely overrun the streets. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong just keeps cruising through the dead city. He quietly checks his latest stat buffs. With his stamina hitting 13 points, he is built different, rocking twice the physical power of a normal dude. His reflexes, coordination, and control are all completely cracked now. He smoothly drifts through the wrecked streets, sliding past barricades as he pushes way deeper into the urban chaos. Before long, the zombie mob gets way too massive to ignore. Driving further would just pull massive aggro, so Xiao Yong ditches the car and pushes toward downtown on foot. Right then, two zombies spot him and rush in. Xiao Yong literally does not care. He casually sidesteps, slamming his shoulder into one zombie hard enough to bowl it straight into the second, and he spawns his sword. One clean 6-swipe later, both zombies get their heads taken off at the exact same time. Against his current build, these monsters are basically just moving target practice. His power level is miles past a regular human, and even his physical senses are completely dialed in. Listening close, he figures his drop zone is only about 800 meters out. Now check this out. Right nearby, a massive zombie horde is throwing themselves against the glass doors of a grocery store. Inside, a bunch of panicking survivors are desperately reinforcing the entrance, dragging heavy metal shelves and pure junk to block the doors. They are just praying this sketchy barricade holds up long enough to plan an escape. Totally terrified, little Brad turns and asks his dad a question, wondering if they were literally about to get wiped out. His dad tries comforting him with the most unhinged pep talk ever. He claims those ugly freaks are staying outside, and hey, if they break in, at least they reunite with his mom. Obviously, that zero IQ speech totally fails to calm the kid down. He just starts bawling even louder. The police officer standing nearby instantly cringes. He seriously questions what kind of messed up motivation that was. The dad just shrugs and claps back. He admits if he actually used his brain, he would be a property manager right now. Even the cop is way too exhausted to argue with that goofy logic. Deep down, though, he low-key wonders if they are actually doomed to die in this spot. Right as the vibes hit rock bottom, several gunshots suddenly pop off outside. One zombie at the entrance gets its head completely blown to pieces. Brad nearly jumps out of his skin. His dad just stands there looking absolutely clueless about what just went down. The officer quickly orders everyone to quietly shove the barricade aside. He strictly warns them to keep their mouths shut. After carefully opening the entrance, they realize every single zombie nearby is already totally zeroed out. The squad slowly creeps outside, double-checking the whole area. Brad suddenly screams about a mutant zombie lurking nearby. His dad immediately roasts him, demanding to know what pure brain rot he is spitting this time. Brad excitedly hypes up mutants as these totally buffed and super fast zombies straight out of his favorite comics and video games. His dad rolls his eyes hard. He snaps that his kid is still obsessing over gaming during an actual apocalypse, which totally explains why his report card has always been pure trash. The officer finally cuts in. He asks what school grades have to do with dodging literal street monsters. He orders both of them to drop the beef and actually watch their six before a legit threat rolls up. Following the cop down the road, the whole group stays completely on edge. Hitting an intersection, Old Song spots a lone dude standing across the street. It is Xiao Yong casually checking his system screen and dumping points into his newly earned stats. Brad instantly points at him and screeches that the mutant zombie has finally spawned. Luckily, the officer actually has some functioning brain cells. One glance tells him this guy is clearly a living survivor and definitely not infected. Hearing all this extra noise, Xiao Yong glances over and straight up laughs at Brad in his crazy imagination. He casually tells the kid to stop treating reality like a video game and touch grass. Super relieved to find a normal human, the cop cautiously walks up. He warns Xiao Yong that running solo out here is way too risky. He suggests teaming up with their squad since partying up gives everyone way better survival odds. Xiao Yong totally chills out and asks who they are, wondering why such a tiny crew is wandering around. Scanning the streets, the officer explains they are out doing a loot run. He adds that tons of normal folks are currently chilling back at Ringshine Garden. Hearing that exact spot instantly jogs his memory completely. He remembers Junyu Mansion is super close. The dad nods and confirms it sits literally just across the street. He tries recruiting Xiao Yong again, hyping up the whole strength in numbers strategy. He even flexes that Officer Lee is packing heat and they have serious zombie fighting experience. Basically, they can totally carry him through this mess. Honestly, if they only knew what an absolute unit they were lecturing. Xiao Yong keeps his OP stats totally low-key. He just agrees and tags along with their squad. While they stealthily push through the streets, the dad gets super nosy. He asks why Xiao Yong even wants to hit up Junyu Mansion. Xiao Yong casually mentions he is out here tracking someone. Dropping a heavy sigh, the dad tells Xiao Yong to brace himself. The world is basically cooked, so his friend is most likely already dead. Officer Lee totally agrees. Even if zombies missed them, they might have run headfirst into those wild, mysterious beasts roaming the city blocks. Hearing about beasts instantly grabs his attention. Xiao Yong asks the cop to drop some lore on what that means. Officer Lee explains that a gang of absolute scumbags took over the Buyu Mountain Villa area on the east side. To survive, they straight up grief and rob other survivors without flinching. His crew actually ran into them before, and half their squad got wiped out because of it. He refuses to dwell on that trauma, simply reminding the group that zombies are not the only crazy danger anymore. Other survivors are just as toxic. But before anyone can react, Brad randomly screeches for Officer Lee to watch his back. The cop spins around just in time to catch a zombie lunging right for his neck. With zero hesitation, he fires off some perfectly aimed shots, completely dropping the freak before it bites him. Panting hard, Officer Lee realizes how insanely close that jump scare was. But yeah, those loud gunshots echo down the block, pulling every nearby zombie straight to them. More growls fill the air and absolute panic hits his face. Then he spots an abandoned bus parked close by. The whole squad books it toward the bus. Watching them run, Xiao Yong quickly weighs his options. Running blindly down the street is just asking for more zombies. A bus gives them solid defense, but the downside is brutal. If the horde completely overruns it, they are officially trapped. Xiao Yong runs the math and silently decides this plan gets a passing grade. By the time he finishes thinking, the rest of the crew is already aboard. Officer Lee yells at Xiao Yong to hurry up. Our guy jumps inside right before the officer slams the heavy door shut behind him. Officer Lee immediately tells everyone to check every single seat and corner. Nobody wants a surprise zombie roommate right now. But before they can even look, Brad screams out that the horde is already here. They look outside and see endless infected completely swarming the bus. These freaks start smashing themselves against the glass and doors, desperate to get in. More zombies pile up by the second. Officer Lee desperately tries holding the door shut, but the pressure is getting insane. Seeing the metal start to bend, Xiao Yong steps right up. He presses his hand on the door and shoves it shut with completely goaded strength. The crazy impact blasts the zombies backward and seals it tight. Officer Lee just stares in shock. Xiao Yong's ridiculous stats are actually off the charts. No time to chill. Xiao Yong says they hold the door while the rest smash windows to attack from inside. Officer Lee is instantly on board with this wild strategy. They absolutely shatter the windows. Old Song leans out to bash every single zombie that gets too close. The squad literally holds him by the pants so he does not fall out. Officer Lee refuses to waste ammo, knowing his bullets are strictly for emergencies. Right on cue, Xiao Yong randomly hands him a whole crossbow. Officer Lee looks completely baffled, trying to figure out where that even came from. Xiao Yong casually says he found it earlier. Yeah, that definitely raises way more questions. But whatever, moving on. Officer Lee joins Old Song with the crossbow while the team totally wrecks the surrounding horde. After a crazy sweaty fight, the final zombie drops dead. With the area finally clear, everyone climbs out of the bus. Brad instantly gets all hyped up. He proudly brags about surviving another deadly trap and claims they are literally the main characters of the apocalypse. Xiao Yong basically tells Brad to touch grass, stay alert, and avoid any more completely dumb mistakes. Meanwhile, back at the home base, everyone hopes Xiao Yong is good. Out of nowhere, Yi Ming actually volunteers for the night watch. Four Eyes teases him, asking why he is acting so motivated tonight. Looking super annoyed, Yi Ming snaps back, insisting he always takes his job seriously. Four Eyes quickly backs off. He wonders why Yi Ming is getting so salty over a tiny joke. Seeing Yiming step up, Uncle Shang tells the rest of the crew to hit the hay while he handles guard duty. Before leaving, he tells Yiming to wake them immediately if anything weird goes down. The base gets super quiet as Yiming sits alone on watch. Once he is totally sure everyone is asleep, his whole vibe completely flips. It is finally time to pull off his shady little plan before Xiao Yong returns. Elsewhere, Grandpa Li is passed out cold with the armory key sitting right by his pillow. He never hears Yiming quietly sneaking into the room. Moving like a ghost, Yiming reaches straight for that key. But right before he grabs it, Grandpa Li wakes up and catches him red-handed. Grandpa Li demands to know what the heck he is doing, but before he can even finish, Yiming throws a heavy punch right into his face, snatching the prize. He immediately books it out of the room. Grandpa Li stumbles after him, screaming at him to drop the key, waking up literally everyone in the base. Grandpa Li rushes out, yelling that Yiming just swiped the key to the armory. The whole squad sprints after him, but Yiming keeps tossing random garbage into the hallway to slow them down. These obstacles force the group to slow down, widening his lead. As Yiming passes the medical room, a truly sick idea hits him. Since he is already playing the villain, he figures he might as well commit completely. He rushes into the room where Chen is strapped down after turning full zombie. As Yiming gets close, Chen suddenly thrashes his arm out, making Yiming totally freeze. One of Chen's arms is supposed to be totally tied down. Yiming wonders if those restraints were left way too loose. But instead of stressing out, he is actually hyped. If Chen can already move, that saves him from untying the guy himself. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew finally clears the obstacles and hits the hallway. Seeing Chen outside that infirmary makes their stomachs completely drop. Grandpa Li totally kicks himself for not realizing Yiming was a massive snake this whole time. Chen Xiang quickly tells the group that crying about it fixes absolutely nothing. Since all their weapons are locked up, step 1 is shoving Chen back inside before somebody gets infected. Uncle Xiang quickly reminds the squad about Xiao Yong's strict orders. Stay totally chill, work as a team, and never let a zombie get in biting range. Sticking to the script, they carefully close the distance. Jiangqi grabs Chen right by the neck while the others hard pin his arms. Grandpa Li points right at the infirmary and yells for everyone to shove him back inside. Counting to 3, the squad shoves the thrashing zombie right through the doorway. They slam that door shut and lock it up as tight as humanly possible. With Chen totally secured, somebody actually admits the zombie was not nearly as tough to wrangle as they first thought. The rest quietly nod along, but Grandpa Li reminds them they have already burned way too much time. By now, Yiming has probably looted every single weapon inside that storage room. Right on cue, Yiming just casually strolls back into view. Flashing a cocky smirk, he asks Grandpa Li exactly who he is calling a little brat. He is holding a literal gun. Looking around, Yiming complains that the armory only had one single firearm, but he figures one gun is totally enough to mop the floor with everyone standing there. Once he takes out the trash, he can loot the rest of this base at his own chill pace. Raising the peace, he orders everybody back into the room. Jiangqi desperately tries reasoning with him. He reminds Yiming that Xiao Yong literally saved all their lives and gave them a real shot at survival. Yiming brushes that off completely. His logic, just because Xiao Yong saved them does not mean they have to be his servants forever. Grandpa Li instantly fires back, calling Yiming a totally ungrateful snake. While everyone beefs outside, Chen quietly starts stirring inside the infirmary. Looks like he is about to make a major play before the camera cuts elsewhere. Back at Rencheng Garden, Officer Li carefully breaks down the route to Junyu Mansion. He warns Xiao Yong that the neighborhood has a crazy complicated layout with a million spots for zombies to hide, so the guy needs to stay ridiculously careful. Officer Li also tells him that once he tracks down his target, he should head straight back to Rainshine Garden and rendezvous with the crew. For extra safety, he seriously recommends taking the side entrance instead of the main gate. Xiao Yong gives him a quick thanks and heads right out toward Junyu Mansion. The dad actually wants to tag along, feeling they owe Xiao Yong big time after he literally carried their survival. Officer Li stops him completely. Nobody actually knows what is waiting inside Junyu Mansion. And if they blindly stumble into a zombie horde, the entire squad gets totally wiped out. The dad reluctantly asks why they are letting Xiao Yong solo such a ridiculously dangerous zone. Officer Li replies that he already gave Xiao Yong the rundown on every single risk. Beyond that, they just have to trust his skills, since Xiao Yong is basically a goated survivor at this point. Meanwhile, the streets around Junyu Mansion are absolutely packed with wandering zombies. Inside the house, the scumbags holding Old Song's wife and kid hostage are losing their minds since Old Song is still a no-show. One of these creeps finally snaps, saying he has held back way too long. He plans to force himself on Old Song's wife tonight, claiming he literally will not be able to sleep otherwise. Another thug points out that Old Song might already be dead out there, but the first creep could not care less. He coldly replies that once they finally get their prize, they will tie the woman up first, taking away any chance for her to end things herself. These idiots figure they have all the time in the world before things go south. so they decide to indulge their absolutely filthy urges while they still can. Outside the door, Old Song's wife hears every single disgusting word and pure panic completely takes over. Boss Lee finally gives his boys the green light but warns them not to let the woman die while they are messing around. But then something outside catches his eye. Peeking through the entrance, he notices every single zombie out there has mysteriously dropped dead. He is totally clueless, but the answer is obvious. Xiao Yong already came through and wiped the zone clean. Curiously steps outside, thinking maybe some official rescue team just showed up. That thought does not even last a full second, and here is where it gets absolutely sick. The second he crosses that doorway, a dagger flashes through the air and slices completely across his throat. His head rolls across the concrete while his body instantly collapses. Inside the house, these remaining scumbags are totally clueless that their lookout is already a headless corpse, smirking like absolute creeps. They start undoing their belts and rip the woman away from her kid. She screams, so one of them slaps her hard across the face and tosses the boy aside. Even though he is just a kid, he fights back with absolutely everything he has. These thugs just kick him out of the room anyway and slam the door shut. Standing out there alone, the boy suddenly watches Lee drop dead to the floor without a head. Frozen in pure fear, he looks toward the entrance and sees a figure standing there. It is Xiao Yong. He calmly asks if Old Song is the boy's father. The child hesitates for a second. Back inside, the mother desperately tries to cover herself, but that absolute trash slaps her again. He orders her to scream louder for them. She stubbornly stays silent, though completely refusing to let her son hear this nightmare. Getting impatient, the thug decides to stop wasting time planning to finish up first before the others take a turn. Right then, the door violently bursts open. One guy assumes the kid somehow kicked it in and turns toward the entrance. Before he can even say a word, a blade flashes past. His head separates from his body so perfectly clean that he stays standing for a second before collapsing. Another thug is totally clueless about what just happened and complains his buddy is just standing there. He tells him to hurry up and toss the kid back out. Then he finally realizes his friend is literally missing a head. Confusion instantly hits the room. Before anyone can even process it, Xiao Yong grabs another thug and slams him straight through the wall. The same creep, happily undoing his belt a second ago, starts stammering, asking who Xiao Yong is. Xiao Yong does not waste time chatting. He drives a brutal, savage kick right into the guy's face. Meanwhile, back at the fortress, Yiming still has everyone at gunpoint. He warns them one last time, move into the room where he starts shooting. Grandpa Lu quietly tells everyone to just cooperate for now. Shen Xiun really does not want to back down, but Grandpa Lu insists. Yiming has the gun, so they have to wait this out. Yiming sneers at them, claiming there is nothing left to figure out. He boasts that they have not even seen his ruthless side yet. He decides Grandpa Lu is the first to die, mostly because the old man has been talking too much. Jiangxi and the crew desperately try talking him down, but before anyone moves, a massive thud echoes down the hallway. Everyone turns toward the infirmary. The locked door slowly begins opening by itself, and Chen steps right out. Somehow, even completely berserk, this guy unlocked the door all on his own. Nobody can believe what they are seeing right now. I mean, would you? Chen immediately locks eyes on Ye Ming, making his target painfully obvious. Fully panicking, Ye Ming raises the gun and fires, desperate to put Chen down before the zombie reaches him. Except the gun totally jams. Realizing his weapon is useless, Ye Ming barely reacts before Chen lunges forward and completely tears into him. He slaughters the traitor who has caused nothing but drama since Xiao Yong brought him here. After finishing the job, Chen drags Ye Ming's lifeless body toward the infirmary while everyone stands there stunned. They cannot even process what is happening. Once inside, Chen casually picks up the infirmary key. He tosses it aside, steps back inside, and actually locks himself in again, leaving the entire squad completely speechless. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong has already finished mopping up those thugs at Old Song's house. He frees the wife, then calls her boy over. Instinctively, the terrified mother pulls her boy close and asks Xiao Yong what he is planning to do. Xiao Yong doesn't explain a thing. He just tells the kid to come here. Reassuring his mom that everything will be okay, the boy slowly walks over. Xiao Yong places a heavy dagger right into his hands. He tells him to kill the men responsible for all of this. Those surviving thugs instantly realize what is about to happen. They immediately start begging for mercy. Even the mother tries to stop it, reminding Xiao Yong that her son is still just a child. Xiao Yong looks at the boy, calmly tells him he cannot keep acting like just a child anymore. From this exact moment, the rules have changed. If he wants to protect his mom, he needs the guts to execute the monsters who hurt her. The kid's mind flashes back to those disgusting grins, the exact thugs who tormented his family. Clenching that dagger tight, he gathers every single ounce of courage left and charges straight forward. One after another, he finishes them off, finally getting pure payback for everything they did to his mother. Xiao Li just stands there totally horrified, watching her own son cross that dark line. But the kid is definitely not celebrating. All that rage just melts into pure grief. Looking up at Xiao Yong, he quietly asks if his dad is actually gone. Xiao Yong keeps it completely real and just nods. Not built to carry that heavy truth, the kid drops the bloodstained dagger. He runs straight back, burying his face in his mom's chest. Xiao Li holds him super tight before facing Xiao Yong. Absolutely desperate to keep her son breathing, she begs him to take the kid away. She promises to do literally anything for him. Before Xiao Yong even responds, the boy shakes his head. He insists on staying right there to protect his mom himself. Xiao Yong just tells them both to tag along. He already promised Old Song he would keep this family completely safe, and the dude actually intends to keep his word. With nowhere else to go, the mother and son follow right behind. They carefully step past the wrecked thugs. Seeing dead bodies scattered everywhere makes the kid visibly shake. He quietly asks what kind of absolute monster wiped these guys out. Xiao Yong answers casually like it is nothing. It was him. From this exact point on, the kid is officially Shui and the mom is Xiao Li. Before they can even move another inch, Xiao Yong suddenly raises his hand. He signals both of them to freeze. He picks up some super sus noises nearby. Turning to Xiao Li, he asks if she knows where Building 8 is. She points straight ahead, explaining it is exactly where they are currently facing. Then she wonders why he even cares. Now check out Building 8. Another massive group of scumbags has completely surrounded the front entrance. Standing right outside, they loudly demand everyone inside to hand over all their loot. They promise to spare them for cooperating. Inside, the terrified survivors hide away, desperately discussing their next move. Somebody suggests surrendering the stash, hoping these goons will just leave. Officer Lee instantly shoots that terrible idea down. He bluntly warns everyone these dudes are literal animals. They are definitely not keeping a single promise. He says they will totally wipe everyone out except the women. Outside, the gang repeats their twisted warning. They give the residents 10 minutes before breaking down the doors. One terrified woman seriously considers going out to beg, but another girl immediately refuses. She would honestly rather die than become a toy for these monsters. Before this argument blows up, the massive guy among the survivors steps right in. He tells everyone to chill out. He guarantees nobody is surrendering today. He orders everyone to hold the hallway, totally confident these scrubs cannot break inside. Outside, the gang leader looks crazy relaxed. His sidekick points out that pushing inside will definitely not be easy. The survivors actually have an armed leader, plus they're using the entire building as solid cover. The leader just smirks. Absolutely zero reason to rush this. Instead, he orders his boys to completely cut the water. His master plan: just wait until these guys are thirsty enough to crawl out on their own. While these absolute clowns discuss their strategy, Xiao Yong quietly watches the whole thing from nearby. Little Shui innocently asks if those dudes are bad guys. Xiao Yong just nods. He reminds the kid they are exactly like the trash who bullied his mom earlier. People like that need to be permanently deleted. Back inside, Officer Lee orders everyone to stay completely hidden and hold down that staircase. He carefully scans the outside situation. Sneaking over to a window, he looks down and counts 7 looters total. 3 of them are actually packing heat. But before he says another word, a massive gunshot rocks the area. Everyone inside instantly freezes. Get a load of this outside, one of the looters just drops dead from a clean snipe. His buddies look around in total shock. They have absolutely no clue where that bullet even came from. Officer Lee spots the answer super fast. Xiao Yong is straight up marching forward with a rifle. Without even slowing his walk, Xiao Yong fires again. Another thug takes a sick headshot and instantly folds on the spot. The remaining gunmen finally lock onto his location. They immediately start blasting back with their handguns. But Xiao Yong just keeps walking straight at them, zero hesitation. Bullet after bullet whizzes right past him. Yet none of those shots even come close. Watching these trigger-happy noobs spray bullets everywhere honestly makes him laugh. Spotting the gang leader camping behind a concrete barrier, Xiao Yong finally shoots back. His heavy rounds slam right into the concrete, a complete miss. Thinking Xiao Yong is totally pinned down, the boss yells for his crew to keep spamming fire while he is distracted. One scrub finally gathers enough courage to stand up and take him one-on-one. The exact second he peeks, Xiao Yong instantly snaps his aim. A few shots ring out and the thug's head just pops before he can even pull the trigger. Peeking from cover, the leader drops a smug little smirk. He figures Xiao Yong finally ran out of ammo. Thinking he's totally safe, the guy steps out and aims his piece. Xiao Yong just stares him down, stone cold, zero hesitation. The split second the leader fires, Xiao Yong tilts his head, just enough to let the bullet breeze past. Before this dude can even blink, Xiao Yong grabs his gun arm, twists it right back around, jams the barrel under his chin, and fires. The shot goes straight through his skull, ending the fight instantly. And just like that, this entire squad gets totally wiped. After that wild flex, Xiao Yong casually loots the leader's body for anything useful before heading inside. Inside, a few leftover thugs rush him in one last desperate suicide play. Xiao Yong doesn't even bother moving an inch. 3 quick shots echo through the hallway, and every single attacker drops completely dead. Watching all this from nearby, Shui's eyes practically light up like sparklers. Xiao Yong just reached absolute goated status for this kid. Right then, a new system notification pops up. The next quest: recruit the survivors huddled at Rongshan Garden for some sick completion rewards. Xiao Yong then turns to Officer Li and asks about the goons they just smoked. Officer Li explains they belong to the Beishuan village crew holding down the south side. He immediately calls over 2 survivors in yellow jackets, Lu Cha and Chen Ji, asking them to drop the lore since they just escaped from down south. These guys reveal that Baekushin Villas turned into the most overpowered settlement in that zone. The gang is sitting on weapons, crazy supplies, and basically absorbed every surviving group nearby. Hearing that makes Xiao Yong pause for a second. This setup sounds super familiar from his past life. He wonders if this is the exact same base run by Li Shuxian and Qi Jin. He asks straight up, is Baekushan the only group left down south? One guy admits there were smaller camps before, but nobody can really compete against dudes carrying heavy firearms. The Baekushan crew basically speedrun, crushing every single camp they found. They slaughtered about half the survivors, swiped the young women, and took anyone willing to sell out. Hearing that confirms it for Xiao Yong. He knows exactly who is pulling the strings. Officer Li catches his weird reaction and asks what's up. Instead of explaining, Xiao Yong just points right at the handguns they looted off those dead thugs. He tells Officer Li and the rest to keep the pistols, loot the bodies for extra mags, and even hands over his own rifle with 5 fresh magazines for them to use. He warns them the Baekushin gang is definitely coming back for blood. But holding down the fort against 10 random attackers shouldn't be a sweat with this gear. He tells everyone to chill here for a few days while he sorts out his own base. After that, he is personally coming back to trash this garbage gang. One survivor stares at him like he needs to touch grass, asking if he actually plans to solo Baekushan. The guy swears they have dozens of heavily armed men, maybe way more. Officer Li tries talking him down too, saying it is way safer to just dip from the area completely. Xiao Yong calmly tells him to stop stressing. He already has massive beef with the Baekushin group anyway, plus he promises to roll back in a few days with a bigger ride and evacuate everyone east, right near Old Tea Leaf City, where he's building a hyped new stronghold and seriously needs extra hands. With everything settled, Xiao Yong casually drops a goodbye, tells everyone to stay frosty, and heads out with Xiao Li and Shui. The scene shifts to this totally grim location. Corpses scattered everywhere, with one lone guard standing watch outside the heavily fortified Baekushin base. Inside the main mansion, the gang leaders are all grouped up for a serious meeting. Wenga, the orange-haired boss, demands to know why nobody has dragged back the Jinyu Entertainment Center supplies yet. Zhang Sheng, the heavy guy, confidently says he already sent a crew to handle it and they should be walking back in any second. But here is the crazy part: every single dude they sent out is actually already in the dirt. Another guy named Kai side-eyes Zhang Sheng, reminding him that a ton of heavy hitters lived at Jinyu Mansion before the world ended. Raiding that spot is basically a guaranteed way to pull aggro. Zhang Sheng just smirks and says his guys were already ordered to drag back anyone they found alive. Wen Ji is not impressed in the slightest. His face gets super dark as he openly roasts Zhang Sheng, pissed off that he literally cannot complete one single task right. Feeling the heat, Zhang Sheng quickly ducks his head down, swearing up and down this op will go off flawlessly. Meanwhile, Kai is literally smirking his face off. Watching Zhang Sheng get totally roasted is peak entertainment today. Meeting adjourns. The dude steps outside to touch grass and cool down. One lackey spots his absolutely miserable vibe. He asks him cautiously what is going on. Jiang Sheng brushes him off, completely demanding an immediate update. Did those 7 guys he sent out actually return yet? The lackey hesitates hard before dropping the terrible news. An hour ago, a scouting party found every single member of that squad dead. This report hits Jiang Sheng like an absolute truck. Normal survivors from Rongshan Garden wiping out strapped guys, unreal. All that cocky energy instantly vanishes into pure panic. He barks at Taozi to gather every single person who can hold a gun. No way is he letting this mission completely flop again. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong finally rolls back into the fortress. Hearing the engine roar, Shen Xiong instantly knows Brother Yong is home. He drives into the safe zone and bam, a system pop-up drops, mission accomplished, completely cleared. Shen Xiong excitedly welcomes him back, but Xiao Yong instantly clocks that one familiar guy is just gone. Yi Ming is nowhere around. Xiao Yong is honestly just relieved. He totally called it. His gut feeling about that snake was spot on. The crew is absolutely shook. Xiao Yong had this guy completely figured out from day one. Pointing at Xiao Li and Shui, he gives strict orders. Get them to their rooms, then regroup down at the infirmary. The group huddles up. Xiao Yong breaks it down. He knew right away. Somebody in Jiang Qi's friend group had super shady motives. Maybe he did not know it was exactly Yi Ming. but he never trusted that squad. Without another word, Xiao Yong tosses a gun right at Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi catches it, checks the mag, and his stomach drops. Every single round loaded inside is rubber. It clicks for Grandpa Li immediately. Realizing Xiao Yong's play, he frantically asks about Chen, the guy stuck inside the infirmary. Xiao Yong casually walks over, dropping a massive bomb. Chen is not some average zombie. The dude is a super rare mutant. Xiao Yong actually tested him earlier, told Chen to blink 3 times, and the guy literally did it. Absolutely wild stuff. Xiao Yong explains it straight. Getting infected by otherworldly junk sometimes triggers a wild path. A tiny fraction become intelligent variants, skipping the brainless zombie phase entirely. These rare mutants hold insanely higher intelligence and potential than your standard infected. A few even hold on to old memories, and Chen He is an incredibly goated, extremely rare case even among the special ones. Pushing the infirmary door open, Xiao Yong reveals Chen. The mutant is just standing over Yi Ming, the absolute headache of a troublemaker. Spotting Xiao Yong, Chen literally just raises a hand up in a super casual greeting. Stop holding back, Xiao Yong tells him, absolutely zero reason to keep that snake's dead body laying around. Chen immediately grabs Yi Ming and starts dragging his corpse away. Jiang Qi gets super curious and calls out. Does his old friend still remember him at all? The mutant stops dead in his tracks. He turns slowly, his face totally blank, leaving everyone guessing what is happening inside his head. Out of nowhere, Chen violently swings at Jiang Qi. Jiang Qi barely dodges the hit. Then it hits him. Chen is not actually aiming to kill. The dude is just deliberately trolling him. Jiang Qi lets out a heavy sigh. Becoming a walking corpse really did not cure Chen of his worst habits. Later on, Xiao Yong pulls up his system screen. An unexpected notification suddenly pops up. He just unlocked a hidden achievement, Mutual Companion. Plus, he scores some sick bonus system points. Triggering a hidden achievement was totally off his radar. Those extra points are a massively hyped surprise. Wondering if the shop got a refresh, he clicks over. Boom, a shiny new level 2 item called the high-tech supply box. He has never seen this thing before, but that huge 50 system point price tag definitely makes him pause. So get this, instead of burning points right now, he decides to pop open the 2 supply boxes already chilling in his inventory. Box number 1, the Lifesaver Supply Box. It drops an interdimensional infection blocker. This sick item stops otherworldly infections right in their tracks. It cannot fix a totally completed mutation, but for prevention it is absolutely goated. The armed deterrent supply box goes even harder. Inside is a heavy Barrett M82 sniper rifle completely stacked with ammo. Xiao Yong is seriously blown away by his own insane luck. Pulling a literal Barrett M82 from a basic level 1 box, that is just an unbelievable haul. But that interdimensional infection blocker was straight up goated. Stopping someone from going full zombie made this loot insanely top tier. With drops like these already secured, Xiao Yong was hyped for that level 2 supply box. Still, he locked in. Next up was grinding out his quest to recruit the Rongshan Garden survivors. He figured he would handle that tomorrow. Outside, Chen dragged Ye Ming out and dumped him. No room in their base for a snake, even a dead one. Next morning, everyone grouped up. Boomers and Zoomers alike armed up. Xiao Yong declared a mandatory 1-hour daily aim training session. Gunshots quickly popped off in the yard as they blasted bottles for target practice. Every solid hit sparked up, showing exactly where those bullets connected. Watching them grind, Xiao Yong told Uncle Shang to have Jiang Qi organize the squad and clear rooms. Today was the day he would drag those Rongshan Garden survivors back to base. Grandpa Li was totally down and immediately started prepping the run. Xiao Yong also ordered Chen to tag along. That mutant muscle was an absolute cheat code for escorts. Pretty soon they spotted an old busted bus totally infested with random wandering zombies. Xiao Yong went goblin mode on the horde while Chen literally yeeted the remaining zombies out the windows. Bus secured. Xiao Yong tossed Chen the keys, saying he could ditch the mask since nobody else was around. But he reminded him to mask up at Rongshan Garden so he wouldn't completely traumatize the normies. Chen gave a low growl. Meanwhile, over at Baikushan, Jiang Sheng finished plotting his revenge. This time, he personally led an armed squad toward Rongshan Garden. After yesterday's massive L, he refused to flop. Rocking more men and heavy firepower, he felt like victory was basically a free dub. Their truck peeled out of the compound, speeding straight toward the target. At that exact second, Xiao Yong hopped into the stolen bus and gassed it toward Rongshan Garden. A zombie mob blocked the road, but Xiao Yong didn't even think about hitting the brakes. That heavy bus just plowed straight through them like absolute bowling pins. Using crazy reflexes, he drifted around all the junk cars cluttering up the highway. He weaved through the mess without dropping speed. Back at Rongshan Garden, dead silent. Inside Building 8, Officer Li and the crew were snacking on tiny rations trying to stretch their loot. Their sad meal got cut short by a roaring engine pulling up outside. Brad got super hyped, guessing brother Xiao Yong was finally back to save them. Officer Li wasn't buying it. He grabbed his AK-47, told everyone to shut up, and slowly crept toward the window. Peeking his head up just a tiny bit, he instantly realized that ride definitely didn't belong to Xiao Yong. It was a whole squad of armed scumbags out for blood. Outside, the Baikushin gang checked their gear. Confirming they hit Building 8, Jiang Sheng ordered his goons to push in. Inside panic mode. Right when they thought Xiao Yong was their ticket out, the Baikushin gang crashed the party instead. The father aimed the pistol. Xiao Yong left him totally ready to blast these morons who never touch grass. Now that the squad actually had some heat, a bunch of them were feeling weirdly cocky. Officer Lee instantly killed that vibe, telling them not to act invincible just because they packed some iron. Outside, the Baikushin gang rolled up with a massive crew. Yeah, our survivors are insanely outnumbered here. Officer Lee told everyone to stick to the strat before sneaking up to the roof for an ambush. Down below, Jiang Sheng's crew stopped exactly where they wanted to set up their firing line. Following Jiang Sheng's call, every single thug raised their rifles and locked onto the windows of Building 8. The father literally peeked outside at the absolute worst possible second. The moment he saw dozens of barrels aiming right at them, he screamed for everyone to hit the deck. A split second later, the chill morning turned into absolute chaos as automatic fire shredded the building. Window after window got completely deleted by the spray, forcing the father to scramble backward. Opening volley over. Jiang Sheng grabs a megaphone, telling his goons to keep their weapons aimed dead at every single shattered window. If anyone acts dumb enough to peek out, they get dropped right on the spot. Flexing that cocky smirk, Jiang Sheng barks his demands into the mic, but the dude literally gets cut off instantly. A loud crack echoes out, and the poor minion beside him just loses his head. The guy folds before anyone even blinks. Total panic mode. Nobody expected a goated sniper camping up high. Literally a second later, another thug screams after eating a clean leg shot. Chilling behind hard cover on the roof, Officer Lee has the ultimate high ground. That gang totally miscalculated these survivors. According to their intel, Building 8 was basically rocking one measly handgun. Even factoring in the looted gear from earlier, they figured these guys only had a couple rusty guns. Instead, they're getting completely clapped by insane sniper fire. The remaining minions quickly stare at Jiang Sheng for help. All that hype vanished the second bodies started dropping. Jiang Sheng yells to pull back, but his absolutely brain-dead crew botches the play. Instead of moving together, these guys scatter in totally random directions like absolute bots. Officer Lee milks this chaos for free points, dropping the fleeing thugs across the street like flies. Watching his squad get absolutely smoked, Jiang Sheng curses them out for running blind. After a quick breather, his remaining guys finally manage a proper retreat, because right now, sweating it out means surviving. While his minions dodge bullets, Jiang Sheng selfishly camps behind cover like a total coward. Officer Lee smoothly adjusts his scope, locking onto the retreating targets and easily scoring those hits. Right from the jump, Jiang Sheng totally planned on using his own guys as meat shields until the sniper finally ran empty. A certified scumbag move, but eventually Officer Lee empties his mag and has to reload. That tiny window is all Jiang Sheng needs. He books it and actually reaches his truck. Just 4 guys are left alive from the whole raid. But for the last dude sprinting behind, Jiang Sheng literally refuses to wait. Rather than risk catching a bullet, he speeds off. A heavy shot instantly drops the abandoned minion right before he even touches the bumper. The 2 guys still breathing in the back just duck down hard, terrified they are getting packed up next. Cut to another road, Xiao Yong is casually driving his hijacked bus toward the garden. He cleanly drifts past the wrecked cars, blocking the highway zero hesitation. Mid-drive, a truck suddenly zooms past going the wrong way. Xiao Yong spots them but ignores the bait. Honestly, securing those sweet system points matters way more to him right now. A few minutes later, he reaches the building. Xiao Yong and Chen hop off the bus, immediately spotting the absolute slaughter. Bodies are absolutely littered everywhere. Xiao Yong quickly realizes that goated rifle he left behind definitely put in work. He connects the dots fast. That speeding truck from earlier was totally hauling the surviving raiders away. Standing right beside him, Chen just stares at all the fresh loot. The mutant drops a low growl, practically drooling at the insane buffet of freshly dropped enemies. Xiao Yong glances at Chen with a smirk, asking if he feels hungry. He greenlights the mutant to absolutely feast on the bodies. Better for Chen to grab the XP than leave snacks for random zombies. The second Chen gets the thumbs up, his whole face completely lights up. Xiao Yong tells him to go wild and just meet up downstairs when he finishes snacking. Chen wastes 0 time. He dashes over and just sinks his teeth deep into a dead guy eagerly devouring the meal. One bite down and a crazy power surge runs right through him, hyping him up like an energy drink. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong casually takes a stroll, just checking out the aftermath. Judging by how insanely clean this wipeout was, he is honestly super impressed by Officer Lee holding the line. Up above, Brad peeks out from a shattered window. The moment he spots Xiao Yong, the guy gets hyped. Once they figured out it was actually him, the remaining survivors stepped out. They flagged him down. Officer Lee led the whole squad downstairs to greet their savior. Lee gave Xiao Yong massive props for leaving behind that rifle. It literally saved them all. Turns out Officer Lee was actually a totally goated marksman before retiring, which completely explains how he landed all those sick headshots. But their wholesome moment gets totally ruined by a deep street growl followed immediately by some super heavy footsteps. The crew whipped their heads around and froze. Chen was limping right at them. Lee was on it, instantly raising the AK-47 and locking his aim onto the corpse. Xiao Yong just totally chilled out. He pushed the barrel down, swearing that Chen was actually on their squad. The group stared at him like he needed to go touch grass, trusting a zombie absolute brain rot. Ignoring the haters, Xiao Yong casually told Chen to finish snacking on the dead thugs before linking up. Lee was completely shook. He straight up asked if Xiao Yong was secretly chatting with the undead. Xiao Yong just shrugged. Chen was built different, and the full lore drop would take way too long. He told the crew to hop onto the bus, promising to spill the tea once they were rolling. As the squad headed out, Xiao Yong reminded his undead bro to wrap up his meal prep fast. Chen literally flashed an OK sign without even pausing his gross buffet. After wiping the floor with every goon, Chen grabbed his custom mask. He strapped it on solo before walking to the bus. The survivors were totally flabbergasted. Brad especially looked like his brain had just short-circuited. An undead monster with enough brain cells to wear a mask. That basically nuked his entire worldview. Xiao Yong joked that Brad better not call it a muzzle to Chen or he would catch hands. Crazy enough, Brad was actually starting to vibe with this mutant zombie. With his feast done, Chen hopped onto the bus like a totally normal commuter. But since he just binged on so many bodies, his massive weight actually made the entire vehicle tilt sideways. Get this, Chen even managed to slur out a couple of actual words while passing his mask key back. Even Xiao Yong was low-key stunned. He never expected his pet zombie to level up his speech skills this ridiculously fast. After wolfing down 6 bodies, Chen was straight up evolving. But Xiao Yong kept his eyes on the prize. His main goal was dragging everyone back to the fortress, safely cashing in those sweet quest rewards and buffing the base. Jumping into the driver's seat, he told the squad to hold tight and absolutely floored the gas. Meanwhile, back at Big Xiao headquarters, Jiang Sheng crawled back to report another massive L. The second he finished his sad little story, he got totally roasted for being completely useless. Trying to save his own skin, Jiang Sheng whined that their intel was pure garbage. Nobody gave him a heads up about automatic rifles. But Boss Wen Gi wasn't buying that cap. In his mind, an average small-town cop somehow pulling an automatic rifle out of nowhere made zero sense, so he totally rejected the excuse. Wen Gi looked straight up offended. To him, that explanation sounded like the most brain-dead excuse ever. Jiang Sheng dug his heels in anyway, demanding they go check the battlefield themselves if they thought he was capping. Before he could yap anymore, Wen Gui's right-hand guy totally lost it and kicked him straight into the dirt. Jiang Sheng instantly took the hint. Time to zip it and bounce before he got seriously folded. The second he left, the right-hand man confessed he was totally over Jiang Sheng's massive skill issue. After he fumbled, so many of their guys taking him out permanently was sounding like a huge W. Another executive named Boss Shu instantly called him out. Apparently that wasn't the real reason at all. Turns out this dude had been thirsting over Jiang Sheng's girlfriend for a hot minute. Flashing a totally toxic grin, Boss Shu actually suggested they just pass her around like some kind of loot drop. Wen Gi just smirked at the idea. He didn't say no, but smoothly noted there was zero rush, they just needed to wait for the perfect moment. But here is the massive cliffhanger: Jiang Sheng never actually left. He was lurking by the door, absorbing every single messed up word. Hearing his own squad plotting to steal his girl made him see absolute red. Fast forward a few hours, Jiang Sheng stormed back to his fancy crib and just absolutely raged. Having zero ways to vent, this dude starts trashing his own place like a total man-child, throwing a massive temper tantrum. Hearing all that chaos, his girlfriend rushes over to chill him out. Instead of giving her the tea, Jiang Sheng just tells her to pack her bags because they are bouncing as soon as possible. She asks where they are heading, but he literally has no clue. He only knows staying here is a total death trap. He immediately pages his right-hand guy, Qingzi. The loyal lackey rushes straight in. Jiang Sheng tells him to round up every capable fighter because they are dipping right at midnight. His girlfriend watches this whole mess, feeling seriously sketched out. Clearly, things just went entirely sideways. Meanwhile, back where the actual plot is happening, Xiao Yong drives that hijacked bus right into his sick fortress parking garage. The building 8 survivors hop off the ride one by one. They are totally mind-blown looking around the absolute beast of a stronghold Xiao Yong built. With everyone safely inside, that survivor recruitment quest officially gets marked as cleared. The mission only required grabbing 5 people, but our boy totally over-delivered with 8 survivors. Alongside the base 25-point drop, he scores 5 bonus system points for the overkill, bringing his stash to a clean 66. Turning to Chen, Xiao Yong lets his mutant bro know that tomorrow night they are hitting the Southern District for a hardcore duo op. Officer Lee happens to overhear this and curiously asks what is waiting for them over there. Xiao Yong just mentions he still has major beef to settle with the Beast Shan Villa's crew. Later that night, Xiao Yong hits his room and locks his focus on that high-tech level 2 supply drop. Now that he has the points, he clicks buy without sweating it. The second the purchase goes through, 50 points vanish, leaving his account broke at just 16. A crazy bright light pops off as the crate activates. After dropping that much currency, the guy is just praying the loot is goated. Luckily, that level 2 high-tech supply box totally comes in clutch. Whatever is chilling inside looks guaranteed to make that insane purchase completely worth the hype. The gacha gods are seriously blessing him right now. Inside that crate sits a ridiculously massive physical enhancement serum. This thing buffs his physical stats by a massive 20 points. Our guy does not waste a single second. He jams that oversized needle straight into his arm, letting the sick buff flood right into his veins. The power-up hurts like absolute hell, but the payoff is goated. His physical stat instantly skyrockets to 33. That puts him over 6 times normal human strength. It is not just raw damage output either. Every single sense gets a wild buff. A mosquito happens to buzz past, and Xiao Yong casually snatches the tiny pest by its stinger before it can even blink. His reflexes and hand-eye coordination are totally hacked now, making his future matchups completely one-sided. Hyped about the crazy new stats, he lets the unlucky little bugger fly away unharmed. Come sunset, Xiao Yong does his usual fortress perimeter check right alongside brother Chen. Walking past the training yard, he spots Officer Lee running the crew through some heavy target practice. Seeing the rookies in totally capable hands, Xiao Yong officially taps Officer Lee to be their main firearms coach. Since he is easily the most cracked shooter they have, Lee gladly accepts the job without a second thought. With the base locked down, Xiao Yong and brother Chen hop on the bus and roll out southward. While their massive bus tears down the highway way faster than it legally should, pure chaos is dropping elsewhere. Jiang Shang already feels the heat and secretly gathers up his last few goons to pull a sneaky midnight escape. Too bad his big brain escape strat lasts about 5 minutes tops. Before they can even bounce, the Kushin Villa's bosses roll right into his driveway, totally blocking them in. Chilling in the front car are the gang leaders plus one super familiar face. Boss Shu steps out, flexing a massive smirk and a gun. Now watch this, he asks Jiang Shang why he is ghosting them tonight. Sweating bullets, Jiang Shang immediately cooks up a fake story, claiming he is just taking his squad out to finish that failed garden mission. Honestly, not a terrible excuse if they had not already bagged one of his very own dudes. They literally tossed Qingzi's wrecked body right onto the pavement, completely blowing up Jiang Shang's little lie on the spot. Even then, Jiang Shang shamelessly acts like he has never seen the corpse before. Honestly, the performance is so bad it would lose an acting contest against an actual brick wall. Boss Shu finally gets tired of listening to the yap. He casually tells his men to shoot, and bullets instantly tear right through Jiang Shang's followers. They drop dead one by one. Even watching his entire crew get straight up erased, Jiang Shang stubbornly keeps playing dumb. Boss Shu decides to wrap up the circus act. He tells the guy to peek inside the passenger seat of their ride. The absolute second Jiang Shang sees Kuei Jin sitting there, it all clicks. The exact same chick who backstabbed Xiao Yong just sold him out too. Boss Kai cannot help but laugh. Jiang Shang keeps playing clueless, but Kuei Jin already leaked every single detail of their little escape plan. Honestly, he should have seen this coming. Someone willing to backstab their crew usually does not suddenly touch grass and retire after round 1. With the ugly truth out in the open, Boss Kai turns right toward Boss Wen Guy for the final call. The head boss silently gives the green light to execute Jiang Shang. They wrap a thick rope around his neck. They have one of their biggest dudes slowly pull on it until the fat scumbag finally stops breathing. It is a super slow and ugly way to go. When it finishes, they leave his body hanging outside his own mansion just to send a message. Later that same night, Xiao Yong quietly parks his blue bus down the street. He and brother Chen approach the mansion on foot. They stay totally hidden in the shadows, but the second they hit the front gate, Xiao Yong realizes somebody else already beat him to the punch. Jiang Shang is already dangling from the gate. Even though the scumbag absolutely earned this, Xiao Yong looks pretty bummed out. He did not get to settle the score himself. With one quick flick of his finger, he launches a tiny pebble that completely snaps the rope. The heavy corpse crashes hard into the dirt. If someone else already stole his kill, he will just go collect interest somewhere else. Meanwhile, inside Kushin headquarters, nasty sounds echo right from the penthouse. Keijin ditched her crew yet again, desperately hoping some bigger predator might actually protect her. But this time, she jumps straight into a den full of total creeps. To Boss Wen Guy and Boss Kai, she is definitely not a friend. She's literally just another shiny trophy for them to pass around. While those absolute weirdos are busy entertaining themselves, Xiao Yong quietly rocks up downstairs. Boss Kai happens to glance out the penthouse window and he instantly knows the vibes are off. Every single guard outside is totally wiped out. Before anyone can even blink, crazy loud pounding echoes from the front door. The hits are heavy enough to grab the whole room's attention. But that is totally not the real raid. The insane knocking at the front is just a low-key distraction. The real goat already picked a way deadlier entrance. Xiao Yong sneaks right in through the highest window with his knife ready to go. He looks like the Grim Reaper just clocked in for his shift. Before Boss Kai can even process it, a freezing blade rests right against his throat. He does not even get a split second to spit out an excuse. Xiao Yong just slices his neck totally clean open. The guy chokes on his own blood before completely collapsing to the floor. One nasty parasite down, one more to go. Wen Guy just stands there absolutely shook. 2 seconds ago, this dude was flexing like the king of the world. Now his buddy is literally decorating the floor. Xiao Yong does not waste a single heartbeat. The blade sinks in, perfectly ripping his throat open. The fat boss drops dead before his brain can even catch up to the lag. Watching both bosses get deleted in seconds, Kuei Jin lets out a terrified scream. Throwing out whatever Delulu fantasy she had going on, she knows exactly why Xiao Yong is here. He is definitely not playing hero today. If anything, seeing his face just spikes her panic into overdrive. Xiao Yong shoots her a sick mocking glare before calmly walking toward the exit. He unlocks it and the heavy door slowly swings open. Zhen Jian is long gone now. Standing there instead is a completely mindless zombie running strictly on hunger. The monster lunges straight at Kuei Jin. It sinks its teeth right into her neck on repeat. She screams and begs for backup, but literally nobody in that room cares at all. Xiao Yong just watches long enough to know his revenge arc is officially complete. Then he casually shuts the door. He leaves the exact 2 people who betrayed and killed him in his past life to settle their own messy ending. Outside, he talks cleanup with Brother Chen. All the dead guards scattered around the yard would honestly make a pretty sick feast for his giant mutant buddy. But Chen just pats his big stomach with a sad little growl. Since he binge ate earlier, he only has room for one more dude tonight. Hey, better 1 than 0. While Chen enjoys his late-night snack, Xiao Yong uses his goated hearing and picks up voices from the next building. Totally curious, he stealthily sneaks his way over there. Inside, a bunch of terrified survivors are being held completely hostage. Guarding them are some super creepy thug and a chef who is way too comfortable discussing human beings like literal menu items. The thug violently grabs a little girl. She decides to volunteer as tribute, but the chef instantly hits her with a hard pass. Way too skinny for his messed up taste. Instead, he points straight at this chubby kid holding onto his sobbing mom. The psycho drags the completely terrified kid away while his mom begs him to stop. Getting super annoyed, the chef just smacks her aside with one heavy swing. She cries out, begging the other survivors to jump in. Total silence. Everyone is just secretly glad it is not them getting dragged off. Right before this absolute nightmare keeps going, deafening gunshots rip through the entrance. 3 massive bullet holes suddenly blast through the front door. The guards instantly grab their weapons, because in their minds, only the top bosses actually pack firepower heavy enough to cause that kind of damage. Hey, at least that distraction buys the kid a little more time. The wreck door slowly creaks wide open. Every single guard aims right at the entrance, sweating, waiting. Now get ready. Nothing happens. Completely over the suspense, the chef orders a guy to check it out. The unluckiest guard ever slowly creeps toward the doorway. Boom, he instantly finds Brother Chen wrapping a hand around his throat. Without even showing his face, the mutant quietly deletes the first target. Catching just a split second of Chen's arm, the remaining thugs totally assume zombies broke in. They just start spraying bullets in pure panic mode, firing everywhere and hitting absolutely nothing. Brother Chen just casually keeps baiting these guys around the room, darting between cover while their absolute trash aim wastes every single round. The exact second the gunfire stops, Brother Chen bursts through a boarded-up window, completely shattering the wooden barricade with insane brute force. He locks right onto the chef standing in the middle of the room, crashes into him like a freight train without slowing down, snapping the dude's neck mid-charge. Using all that momentum, he literally launches himself into the next thug. In just seconds, this whole squad of amateur gunmen gets wiped out. When the wild rampage finally wraps up, only the totally shook survivors are left. Frozen stiff, they cannot figure out why this zombie butchered every thug but completely ignored them. A second later, Xiao Yong casually strolls into the room, acting like he just showed up late and totally missed out on the party. He tells Brother Chen that was a crazy clean takedown, especially since the dude managed to pull it off while wearing his mask. Brother Chen flexes, saying the mask makes his fighting style look way cooler. Honestly, for once, the zombie is spitting straight facts. Brother Chen is absolutely goated, but hearing a literal zombie talk just makes the rescued survivors freak out even harder. Kids cling onto their moms. Everyone else instinctively backs away from the talking mutant. Xiao Yong steps in before everyone completely loses their minds, calmly promising that Brother Chen will not hurt anyone here. The little girl instantly shakes her head. She has already seen monsters looking exactly like him slaughter people without a single hesitation. That grabs Xiao Yong's attention right away. He crouches down gently, asking her what exactly she means by super monsters. Her mom explains they bumped into another seriously weird mutant over in Day City right on the eastern side of town. Xiao Yong gets super serious, because based on his knowledge, busted mutants like that are not supposed to spawn for another month or two. Making things worse, Day City is pretty close to Old Tea Leaf Town where his main fortress sits. He instantly warns Brother Chen that another rare hyped-up mutant might already be operating nearby. Depending on the person, these evolved zombies actually keep some intelligence and memories. That makes them a million times deadlier than basic infected NPCs. On the flip side, failed mutations just turn into pure bloodthirsty lunatics. Hearing all this makes Brother Chen visibly sweat over his own future. Xiao Yong quickly calms him down, tells him he got crazy lucky, keeping his sanity intact, and as long as they stick together, he will never lose himself. Turning back to the survivors, Xiao Yong asks if anyone else is actually still alive inside this villa. They explain some people are locked up in the sales office while the rest got thrown deep underground in the basement. Since it is close, Xiao Yong leads everyone straight toward the basement. The exact second he yanks open that heavy steel door, the sick stench of blood slams right into everyone. Even these survivors who have basically seen it all instinctively recoil. The whole room inside is drenched in blood, totally littered with butchered bodies. Brace yourselves for this drop. Bai Qishan was not just randomly killing people here. He was literally processing them like cattle. Suddenly, it all clicks. There is a very dark reason zero survivor settlements lasted anywhere near this district. One survivor quietly drops that they used to see trucks hauling massive, unknown amounts of meat outside the city. Just looking at the insane number of bodies left behind, Xiao Yong realizes these absolute animals were running a business way darker than anyone could have guessed. Nobody is surviving that basement, so the only spot left to check is the sales office, roughly a kilometer south. The survivors said new captives always got locked up there first for sorting. Anyone deemed useless just vanished into the slaughterhouse. While he takes this in, the system drops a sick new mission series called Subpar Utopia. He has to keep expanding and boosting the settlement's overall community rating. Meanwhile, the sales office guards are completely clueless that their whole operation just got utterly packed up. Hearing distant gunfire earlier, they just figured the bosses were using living people for target practice again. Under the cover of darkness, Brother Chen quietly clocks in for some stealth work. These guards barely react before he deletes them with brutal efficiency. Inside, terrified women are still locked up. Looking at the totally trashed room and all the scattered clothes, nobody needs an explanation for what these scumbags were doing. Some girls are completely checked out while others are still clinging to a tiny shred of hope. The door finally swings open, but instead of another ugly thug, Xiao Yong casually strolls inside. He just tells them they are officially free and invites them to tag along. Stepping outside, they do not find more captors, just a whole bunch of dead criminals decorating the floor. Xiao Yong promises them an actual safe zone instead of this nightmare. The catch is super simple. Everyone pitches in to build up the community. After surviving that Bakushin hellhole that honestly sounds goated, squad assembled. Xiao Yong leads the survivors right back to the bus. Good thing he brought a massive ride for everyone. Soon enough, they pull up to the fortress where Xian and Jiangxi are waiting. Xiao Yong parks the bus outside instead of rolling right in. Jiangxi instantly realizes there is a catch. Xiao Yong introduces the rescued crew to the base but makes one rule crystal clear. Nobody enters the main compound until they pass a strict vibe check. The survivors totally get it. In this apocalyptic world, trusting blindly is just a speedrun to getting everyone killed. For now, they get to crash in prefab houses behind iron fences just outside the main base. Not as secure as the inner walls, sure, but compared to their last spot, this is basically a luxury resort. He explains that Old Tea Leaf Town still has plenty of empty land and unfinished buildings. As the player base grows, they will keep building until the settlement gets totally overpowered. Hearing this, the survivors heavily thank the guy who pulled them out of absolute hell. Night falls, bringing fresh drama. A whole convoy rolls right up to the Bakushin Villa's entrance, and the female boss herself is leading the charge. She was already super suspicious after Jiang Sheng and her entire squad totally ghosted her calls. By the time they hit the front gate, she knows things have gone completely sideways. The cars park and Lady Boss Ru steps out to inspect the villa damage for herself. The second she walks in, she is hit with blood, mangled corpses, and a heavy stench of death. Overnight, all the dead guys reanimated into mindless zombies, and one of them just happens to be Jiang Sheng. The former wannabe boss immediately lunges at the living the second he spots them. Lady Boss Ru does not even treat these zombies like actual threats. She casually rips through them barehanded, then pulls a knife and hacks them to literal pieces, limbs flying everywhere. After sweeping the base, the math is simple. Every single leader stationed here got totally wiped out. Their human meat business just took a massive L. And watch closely, somebody is about to pay heavily for this. Before they reboot the server, they have to hunt down whoever totally wrecked Bakushin Villas. Her guys search every corner and report back. 0 living players remain on the map. The only W is they still have enough meat left for today's shipment. They just gotta load it into the truck. While the crew stuffs those gross garbage bags into the truck, Lady Boss Rue checks out the dirt outside. Fresh tire tracks lead right out of the villa. A totally wicked smile crosses her face. Whoever ruined their setup left a super obvious trail pointing right to their base. Meanwhile, Xiao Yong is still figuring out system requirements. That community expansion quest is totally dragging. Even after pulling in a bunch of survivors, his base score is stubbornly stuck at 2 points. Just hoarding NPCs obviously wasn't going to cut it. Luckily, the guy had insane amounts of land to keep leveling up. Looking back, snagging this property off that arrogant seller was totally a goated move. But a major side quest needed clearing first, that super rare mutant lurking in the nearby city. Xiao Yong Shen and Zhang Qi rolled up to the prefab housing zone. Those newly rescued survivors hyped him up with actual gratitude. Some literally dropped to their knees to thank the absolute boss who saved them. Xiao Yong skipped the filler and asked the mother and daughter about that sick super mutant they dropped lore on earlier. The woman explained they first ran into this thing inside Hornfell Market in Day City. Her squad went there grinding for loot only to trigger a boss fight instead. Several teammates just got one-shotted immediately. She barely snatched her kid and dipped during the panic. Getting separated from the squad, they sprinted non-stop until reaching Bakushin Villas. They thought they actually clutched the escape, only to wander into something way worse. With the exact coordinates secured, Xiao Yong immediately heads for his ride. Shen and Zhang Qi both tried telling him to chill. They already had enough loot, so touching grass outside was pointless. Xiao Yong just shook his head. He absolutely was not going out there to scavenge snacks. Hornfell Market was under 2 kilometers from the base, leaving an aggro mutant that closed was literally begging for a base raid. Even the lady who barely survived the encounter started begging him to cancel the run. But Xiao Yong smoothly promised everyone he had the ultimate strategy ready. This specific raid only required one duo partner, Brother Chen. Now check this out over at Hornfell Market. Another random survivor group just rolled up hunting for loot. Spotting the massive supermarket, they got totally hyped, hoping it would end their starvation debuff. Sneaking inside, they found the interior pitch black. As their eyes finally adjusted, they realized this map had already been heavily looted, but plenty of top-tier items still remained. Staying tight, the squad moved together, purposely making some minor noise. A classic strat to bait out hidden zombies or campers. It worked. A few random infected stumbled out of the shadows. Unlike total noobs, these guys stayed ice-cold, clearing out the infected with crazy good teamwork. They flawlessly wiped the mobs without taking any damage. Seeing such a weak mob spawn made several members chill out. They figured the main horde chased the previous players who looted here. Even so, the party leader yelled to stay frosty as they spread out to binge through the aisles. Big mistake. Something way smarter was tracking every single step they took, just camping patiently in the dark. It waited perfectly, watching its prey literally wander into a trap. Totally clueless, the scavengers pushed dangerously deep. Some were already celebrating finding enough food drops to easily keep them alive for years. The leader finally dropped his guard, spotting a massive display of premium mattresses. He happily flopped right onto a soft bed. A few teammates joked they should just make this place their main hub. It literally had all the gear. But yeah, trying to away from keyboard in a monster zone is definitely not a survival strategy that ages well. While the squad raided the aisles, 2 core members actually stepped outside for a quick smoke break. Even they admitted this supermarket was a completely trash spot to set up a base. Way too many spawn points to defend. Plus, a fully stocked store is basically a neon sign, screaming, "Hey, come grief us." Luckily, they already scoped out a nearby 2-story building that looked way easier to lock down. Sadly, planning your base only matters if you actually survive the night. Hidden in the dark, the boss finally engages. Super Mutant stepped right out of the shadows, ready to feast. One guy barely managed to scream for backup before sprinting wildly back toward the group. But trying to outpace this mutant was like racing a Ferrari on a cheap bicycle. The creature's claws ripped straight through his back and burst out his chest, casually tearing him apart like wet cardboard. The whole squad froze in pure shock until someone finally screamed to fall back. Their legs moved, but the panic debuff was real. One by one, the slowest players got snatched up. Every desperate step was running on raw survival instinct. Yet the monster stayed glued to their hitboxes, farming them one after another. Within seconds, only the female leader survived. She bolted for the exit with absolutely everything she had left. Catching sunlight right beyond those doors, she pushed even harder. Unfortunately, trying to outrun an overpowered mutant while wearing high heels is a completely trash-build choice. That mutant is literally breathing down her neck, just eating up all that panic. She squeezes her eyes shut, ready to get munched. But when she peeks, bro swapped out. That is not the same monster. This new guy is rocking a ridiculously sick mask. Yep, Brother Chong has officially entered the chat. Xiao Yang strolls up right behind him and tells her to chill. Talk about clutch timing. She does a massive double take. This is the exact same dude who bought all that land from her agency before the world went offline. Xiao Yang remembers her face right back. If his brain is working, this girl is Xiao Ning. But they don't exactly get to catch up. A nasty ripping sound echoes through the whole grocery store. She frantically warns him about the freak inside, but Xiao Yang just brushes it off. The situation is handled. She looks back, seeing two absolute units having a stare down. This supermarket mutant instantly tags Brother Chong as a rival predator trying to steal his turf. Meanwhile, Brother Chong just looks at this guy like a minor speed bump waiting to get flattened. First time either of these freaks has bumped into another mutant, and honestly, they're totally hyped to see who hits harder. The grocery store freak swings first. Those ridiculously long claws miss Brother Chong by literal inches. Look at that creepy grin. He is absolutely wondering if snacking on a fellow mutant is the ultimate level-up cheat code. Brother Chong responds with a straight-up heavy-hitting punch. He slams the guy's face into the tiles so hard it practically greets the concrete. Definitely wiped that goofy smirk right off his face. Chong immediately lifts his foot, fully ready to stomp this dude back to the Stone Age. Tough luck, though. The supermarket freak reacts just fast enough to bounce out of the way. Still laughing like a total psycho, the thing brags out loud. All those humans he ate are just giving him crazy buffs every single day. Brother Chong instantly reads the next attack. The mutant lunges and these two absolute beasts just start throwing hands. Fists turning into pure blurs. Jiang Qi is watching this from the sidelines and the guy is sweating bullets. Xiao Yang is on a totally different wavelength. Honestly, he is just glad they decided to touch grass today. If they let this freak keep grinding for XP, taking him down later would have been an absolute nightmare. Deciding playtime is over, Xiao Yang steps up and casually spawns an AK-47 right into his hands. He calmly tells Brother Chong to just pin the guy down for 1 second. Time to wrap this up. Goated as always, Brother Chong instantly follows orders. He shifts gears and totally locks that speed freak in place so he cannot escape. Gunfire rips through the whole mall as a single round punches straight through the super mutant's forehead, cracking his skull wide open and turning his brain into straight mush. Any basic zombie would have logged off right then and there, but this freak completely missed the memo. Instead of dropping, he locks eyes on the guy with the gun. Jiang Qi's jaw is basically on the floor. A clean headshot barely caused a lag spike. Xiao Yang does not waste time asking why. If one bullet fails, the whole mag can have a chat. He flips to full auto and unloads with zero chill. Heavy rounds start shredding chunks out of the mutant until he is looking like rotten Swiss cheese. After tanking enough lead to open a hardware store, the beast finally drops. Twitching while his HP hits absolute zero, Xiao Yang casually suggests Brother Chong should just chow down on the guy's body. Eating another rare mutant might give him a massive buff. Sure enough, the system drops a fat reward for deleting the threat, bumping his score and pushing his quest forward. Now check this out. They are standing inside a fully stocked supermarket. No way they are walking out with empty pockets. Xiao Yang pops his storage skill. He starts vacuuming up insane amounts of loot straight into his dimensional bag. No hauling, no heavy lifting. Just pure free express shipping. He checks out the bodies left behind by some unlucky scavengers. Might as well stop them from respawning as basic mobs later, right? Brother Chong already polished off the main course, so dessert is pretty much served. But while Xiao Yang is busy snagging all the loot, another squad starts making their move. Boss Ru and her top goons track their tire marks, quietly scoping out the fortress from a safe distance. Her right-hand man points out the settlement has a pretty decent crowd, but their gear looks kind of mid. The only thing actually flexing is that heavy-duty warehouse-looking fortress. Boss Ru is mind blown. How could this basic setup squad wipe Jiangsheng, Lin Guanghai, and that entire Bichu Mountain Villa crew? She literally convinced Xiao Li they just used cheap tricks like kiting zombies to do the heavy lifting. Delulu much. She was already claiming Xiao Yong's goated fortress as her own personal property. For now, she told her squad to fall back, regroup, pack more heat, then drop a surprise attack when the defenders were totally offline. But as her crew dipped, Xiao Yong's squad was literally rolling up on the exact opposite road. Jiang Qi was hyped. He told the crew their new base had legit beds and hot showers waiting. Passing another convoy on a completely dead apocalypse highway was rare enough to make everyone instantly sweat. Nobody hit the brakes. But for one split second, Xiao Yong and Boss Ru sized each other up through the glass. System notification. A sick new quest just dropped. Villain Nemesis Volume 1 was officially live. Xiao Yong's goal was dead simple. survived the raid for a sweet 50-point payout. His gut instantly knew those sus vehicles belonged to the exact scrubs about to attack them.